and settle for pennies on the dollar. As a leading tax resolution firm, we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, hundreds of 5-star reviews, and a 4.9-star rating on Google because we deliver results and huge savings. If you owe $5,000 or more and even facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or IRS letters, call us today at 800-741-5015. Once you call, our tax professionals will call the IRS with you for free, and within minutes start negotiating a settlement. We'll put a stop to collections and fight to get you the best settlement possible. Choose the company Americans trust most. Call Priority Tax Relief now at 800-741-5015 to see what relief you qualify for. Don't wait. Make the call. Dial 800-741-5015. Once again, that's 800-741-5015.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
I thought we were going to talk about the market. Nobody wants to talk about the market? 2 days ago, everybody said the market was going to collapse. 4 straight months in a row, the Dow Jones closed higher. Numbers supporting an economic comeback the likes of which this country has never seen. But the people trapped in fiefdoms, known as Democrat areas, don't understand. We'll discuss that and more after Mike Scott.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. President Trump holding a cabinet meeting at Camp David today. It comes as the U.S. and Iran resume attacks after the collapse of a ceasefire. Meantime, a deal to disarm Hamas has been announced. But some Israeli officials are skeptical about the new disarmament agreement.
President Trump announcing a deal has been reached for Hamas to disarm and Israel to withdraw its forces from Gaza. It comes 9 months after the two sides signed a ceasefire agreement, but no timetable for implementation has been announced.
Reporter Chris Pallone. The Chicago Board of Education signing off on a nearly $10 billion amended budget that includes non-guaranteed state money.
If we used unrealized state revenue to balance the budget, this would put the district in immediate and long-term financial jeopardy.
After a heated discussion, CPS Budget Chief Emilia Zocco had a dire warning for board members. Chicago sports. Cubs have won 5 of 7. They'll host the Yankees today, while the White Sox visit Tampa tonight. The news a service of Fox Valley Coins in Naperville. Easy to get to off I-88 and Route 59. Family-owned integrity since 1981. FoxValleyCoins.com. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The major averages ending the last trading day of the month sharply higher as investors digest the latest batch of big earnings reports. Friday's moves come at the end of a turbulent week in which AI concerns, the Iranian conflict, and the Fed rattled markets. Shares of Amazon jumping over 15% following its blockbuster earnings report on cloud strength, Amazon notching its fastest revenue growth in 4 years, while Apple stock plunging over 7%. The tech giant delivered an earnings and revenue beat, but its services and China revenue came up short. The Dow winners, Amazon, Alphabet, and Microsoft. The Dow decliners, Apple, United Health Group, and Goldman Sachs. The Dow up 277 points. The tech-heavy NASDAQ higher by 252. S&P 500 up 52. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
Mike Gallagher sees a party off the rails.
Tim Walz doubling down on his decision to pardon a child rapist in order for the child rapist not to be deported. This is systemic in the Democrat Party. This is who they are. This is where they've landed. They're now cheering on the pardoning of convicted child rapists.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you haven't switched to Pure Talk because you're not sure their coverage is every bit as reliable as Big Wireless, why not take them for a test drive? For a limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited data plan. No contracts, no commitments, just a great deal on a high-speed network with unlimited data from an American wireless company. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-260-2266, 800-260-2266, 800-260-2266.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
During the War for Independence, General George Washington, the man we refer to today as the father of our country, led American troops through military defeat after defeat. And in the bitter winter of 1777, he wrote this somber note to a friend in Philadelphia. Quote, "You might have tracked our army from White Marsh to Valley Forge by the blood on their feet," end of quote. Many soldiers continued to march through the deep snows of Pennsylvania without shoes. Others suffered from disease, hunger, and freezing conditions. Nearly 2,000 of Washington's men died. Yet George Washington did not lose faith. Amid the hardship, loss, and uncertainty of Valley Forge, he turned to God in prayer. At a time when our nation once again faces division and uncertainty, may we follow Washington's example, kneeling humbly, praying faithfully, and asking God to guide the future of America.
Now, your official weather forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight will be humid with periods of rain, some heavy, and a thunderstorm, so watch out for flash flooding. The low temperature will be 68. Moving into Saturday, expect mostly cloudy skies with more rain and a chance of a thunderstorm. It'll be humid in the morning, transitioning to breezy later on. If you're heading to the music festival, having rain gear handy might be a good idea. The high temperature will reach 72 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
Nobody gets the proper information. All markets within 2% of all-time highs. All. Most less than that. The Dow Jones closes up for the fourth month in a row positive. Every month. All with an 1,100-point collapse. Really inspired by morons like Jim Cramer. So when Jim Cramer said 2 days ago, as the market was collapsing, "This is a crash," that's when you should have said to yourself, aren't these the same idiots that told me to take the vaccine? Aren't these the same morons that defended? Then do the opposite. It's that simple. The way in which they run their fiefdoms. Do the opposite. And I can't help but notice how morons celebrate their slave masters like Pritzker, built like an Oak Park lesbian. The sad part is, Squirrel, if only he had an opponent that didn't look like his girlfriend.
Getting a college education is now more affordable than ever as Latino students who pay no tuition and fees at Illinois colleges has more than doubled during my term in office.
Did you pay for your kids to go to school? Like me? Like everyone I know? I don't know a guy that didn't pay for his kid to go to school. Did you pay for your kid? Here, all you had to do was be a Latino. And you know what I like about this? He doesn't say legal or illegal because it doesn't matter. And now he's going to tout the economic success of what? Of Illinoisans?
I didn't raise property taxes, as you know.
No, you can't talk. Don't. That was 2 days ago. Don't talk about that. Number one in the country for the highest property taxes. Illinois stand. Don't talk about that.
We've expanded economic opportunity, with Illinois now home to more than 140,000 Latino-owned businesses.
That's something. I didn't know they broke it up by nationalities. Hey, do you got the Dagos? How many Italians still own businesses? Or are they the ones that left? Are they the ones over 150,000, the bulk of the people who make that, got the hell out of there? Which is why he's going to talk about the wealth gap closing, which is a nice little trick. And welcome to utopia in misery and poverty. Welcome to ghetto living.
Latino homeownership in Illinois exceeds the national average by 8 percentage points.
Come on. What about the Pennsylvania Dutch? Any indication as to the Asians? Let's break it all down. Let's see who the best citizens are and who the favored citizens are.
And among the biggest states in America, Illinois has narrowed the wealth gap between our white and Latino communities to one of the smallest gaps in the nation. Better than California, better than Florida, better than New York, better than Texas.
And they balance the budget, too, all built on loans and fraud and lies. And here's Sphincterface, known as Tony Preckwinkle, referred to as Grady, a lying scumbag and repulsive.
Over the last 5 years, we've received 6 bond rating upgrades, including the most recent from Fitch Credit Ratings to AA+. It's the result of fiscal discipline and the...
Is it? Or is it the result of bribes? You see, I remember these scum, and I'm talking to you, Fitch, and all the rest of you frickin' frauds. You've been bribed! And it isn't the first time. Does anybody remember the collapse?
And Wall Street goes back to work this morning with the Dow Jones Industrial Average at another record high. Bond markets will reopen after being closed for Veterans Day, and all 3 major bond rating agencies are now being sued. They're accused of misjudging mortgage bonds that collapsed in 2007 at the start of the financial crisis.
The lawsuit quotes internal documents from Standard & Poor's, Fitch Ratings, and Moody's Investor Service. One text message says a bond package, quote, could be structured by cows and we would rate it. In another document, an employee wrote, we sold our soul to the devil for revenue. Bill Cohen is a former manager.
See, but most people don't remember that, or how many of these half-ass, short-in-the-pants gangsters attached to the Daily, Syndicate, and the Irish Mafia, Chirac, how many of their moron relatives, their cousins who have a cork on their fork during Thanksgiving so they don't poke their eye out like Ruprecht, who work for these rating agencies. Same that work for Mesro, another front, another favored class, just like the Latinos now. I wonder who the next favored class will be in Shirakistan. Will it matter as the taxes are parabolic? Did you know, Squirrel, with this new raise on the toll, each car will pay $1.24 every time you go through that arbitrary extortion. What is it called? A toll booth? Sure it is.
If you drive around here, it could start costing you an extra $200 a year. The Illinois tollway is about to pass a 15-year construction plan that doesn't end until 2042. For a driver taking the...
Oh! You got guys right now working. Anybody see anybody working? Hell, meatheads. Where is everybody? Is everybody got the how you doing? Hey, how you doing? I put curbs in. And it's a kickback scheme to all these short-in-the-pants gangsters. So don't give me your outrage about Chris Welch. Come on. Cecil the Turtle's been crooked as Grand Avenue since him and his brother were scallywags back in Maywood, I remember. Now they turned in Proviso West. $40 million for a gym. Could build a whole frickin' school for $7. Let's cash in there, huh, Turtle?
Illinois Democratic House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch is facing more calls for him to step down from his post today, this time from a prominent member of his own party. It comes as a sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment? Wasn't this guy beating women since the late 90s on record? God only knows what the hell he did to not get reported.
Harassment scandal is brewing in the Illinois House. Paris Schutz has the latest.
Hoffman Estates Democratic Representative Fred Crespo says Welch should not continue on as Speaker of the House because of how he handled some of those allegations. This as a report into those specific allegations.
Hey, dummy, what about the $40 million for the gymnasium? Is that okay? What about the tens of millions of kickback schemes, hundreds of millions in money laundering? Is that okay? Is this where you draw the line? You frickin' frauds. You can always tell when it's an electric year. This is when even the scumbags say, I'm not with them. I'm just half a scumbag. I'm a Democrat.
Is set to be released on Friday. Crespo penned an op-ed in the Chicago Tribune today entitled, Did Illinois' House Speaker Normalize Sexual Harassment? He says Welch failed to act quickly when a whistleblower came forward with...
I'm just shocked he was heterosexual. I lost $50, Squirrel. I thought for sure. Side saddle looks a little light in the loafer to me. It's the same no matter where they are. Fraud, misappropriation, and phony virtue, like Kathy Hochul. High on antidepressants, Botox, and Merlot.
They're walking out of this courthouse, taken away from their families. They don't have the attention. They don't have the lawyers. And that's why the state of New York is providing $50 million to cover legal services for people who are finding themselves in this situation.
Be careful how you do it, and don't give it to a Democrat lawyer. You see, even the Democrat lawyers, scumbags, robbing everybody, like the whore in Berwyn, robbing illegal aliens because she had a Hispanic last name. I wonder if J.B. Pritzker is counting what this whore stole as closing the wealth gap. What do you think, Squirrel? She had her own plane. It was pink.
Ravi, Alexandra Lozano promised a pathway to citizenship for tens of thousands of people, a self-described miracle lawyer, according to a new lawsuit. She had an office in West Suburban Berwyn, a multi-million-dollar condo in the city, and a pink private jet, among offices across the country. The catch, that promise of citizenship for her clients was broken, according to the complaint.
We had been hearing rumors for years about problems with how those cases were being handled, rumors that things were being fabricated to make people eligible when they were not otherwise eligible.
Vicente Omar Barraza represents dozens of clients in this lawsuit out of Washington State who claim they were conned out of tens of thousands of dollars by former immigration attorney Alexandra Lozano.
How much of what she stole was paid for by the citizens of America? See, that's the dirty little secret. Because all of this favoritism to specific classes of people, it goes directly to these people. So did they lose their money or they lose all of our money? Who gives a rip? You're Democrats anyway. You don't care who steals your money. You just want to feel good about losing it, right? You guys are the virtuous one, aren't you?
Must allow for a real conversation about revisiting certain things. For example,
the Hornswoggler is back.
And I know this is going to be controversial coming from me in particular, we need to revisit the Electoral College. We need to revisit the point of expanding the court to 13 justices like we have 13 district courts.
And they cheered. Let's do it now. Now we'll do it now. Trump will appoint the extra ones. You want to do it now? Whore? And when it comes to the Electoral College, it's the only thing saving the 90% of the counties from the ones that are run by thieves, frauds, and women and men who have a face of a sphincter.
The incredible hard work of our Bureau of Finance team. This commitment to responsible stewardship is saving taxpayer dollars, strengthening our financial future, and investing in the services that Cook County residents rely on.
You guys are doing great. You're just bankrupt and broke and the number one highest taxed citizens in the country. But aside from that, it's absolutely fantastic. Keep electing them, and you'll understand they never stop the steal. Whether it's Chris Welch or Mike Madigan, you know the only difference? Chris had to lower the chair when he took over the regime on Springfield, and that's it.
You might find that polling place is closed. Registering folks to vote and having an agenda that is about turning out the vote in the greatest numbers we have ever seen, so that in light of and in this environment where they are cheating, we will be too big to rig.
Isn't that something, huh? You see, the problem they have now is there's a little oversight, and they can't steal. Like in Chicago or Cook County or New York. We already understand. Those areas have the cancer of corruption, and they're completely accepted. And the reason you're hearing the Hornswoggler's voice is she's trying to offset a little bit of a scandal. Although, what would a scandal be in a Democrat area? Is there such a thing as a scandal anymore? I mean, I think the only thing that's shocking about these scandals when they come to banging each other's secretaries and whatnot, I'm shocked how many of them are still heterosexual.
Gavin Newsom's former secretary when he was mayor of San Francisco revealed new details about the affair in an essay she published in Vanity Fair on Tuesday, July 28th, including familiar names like Kamala Harris. Ruby Rippey, who was Newsom's appointments secretary, was married to his campaign manager at the time, Alex Turk. Rippey wrote that when the affair originally broke back in 2007, she confided in then San Francisco District Attorney and now former Vice President Kamala Harris, who advised her to, quote, pause and refrain from public comments or take a book deal, end quote, with Ripley calling her a real girl's girl after reaching out to her. Rippey disputes Newsom's claims that he was the one who came clean to her husband when she already had.
Kamala Harris was a good shoulder to lean on, and the reason, Squirrel, is Kamala Harris has a long experience, a long history of how to deal with sex scandals.
He's a rogue, all right, notorious for his flamboyant lifestyle. Flashy clothes, fancy parties, fine women, and
the poor old lady at home eating popcorn while he's out celebrating with the office whore who would one day run for president. And if you think that's enough of the sex scandals, you'd be wrong. Who did they get to replace the Nazi in Maine?
Yeah, there's no doubt Graham, did a great job as far as getting people going. Very articulate, better than I am at that. But, what I've been doing, all through this is trying to make sure that people understand that, it's about the movement. It's
a bowel movement. He's married to his second cousin. He's got 2 kids. He's been banging his second cousin, and they have kids. What do you think? You're from Palestine? 312-642-5600.
Broadcasting from the petri dish of corruption known as the state of Illinois.
In the upper Midwest, the nation, and around the world.
This is the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
Looking for a place that feels like home the moment you walk through the door? Then make your way to Shannon's Deli in the heart of downtown Lombard. For more than 25 years, this woman-owned local favorite has been serving up incredible made-to-order sandwiches, homemade soups, crisp salads, and delicious catering that's earned a loyal following throughout DuPage County. Every meal is made with care because at Shannon's, you're not just another customer, you're family. And when the weather's beautiful, grab your lunch or dinner and head upstairs to their rooftop patio. It's the perfect place to relax with friends, enjoy great food, and experience one of downtown Lombard's hidden gems. And Shannon's Deli is just 35 feet from the Metro train station. Plus, when you're ready for dinner, live entertainment, or a classic Irish pub experience, visit their sister restaurant, Shannon's Irish Pub in Glen Ellen, just 2 blocks from the Metro station. Visit shannonsdeli.net and shannonsirishpub.info. That's shannonsdeli.net and shannonsirishpub.info.
If you're a tax-paying, law-abiding lover of America and the American dream, you need to be listening to Saving the American Dream with Jim Martyr. Every Saturday at 7 p.m., Jim tackles the issues that matter most: faith, family, freedom, and the fight to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Saving the American Dream with Jim Martyr, heard Saturday evenings at 7, right here on AM 560 The Answer. Podcasts available at 560theanswer.com.
In the War of 1812, our nation fought and won America's religious freedom. Today, that constitutional right is being assaulted once more from within.
Religious liberty and rights in general were under attack. We all of a sudden became the enemy.
In the important new documentary by Dawn's Early Light, anti-Christian bias is exposed at the highest levels of government.
I got 6 months house arrest, 5 years probation.
I'm sorry, our rights have been suspended? Hard to believe that the instruments of government would ever be used to punish faith.
Follow the sweeping investigation of President Trump's task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. The governmental hostility and prejudice is uncovered, and Trump's fight to restore our constitutional liberties and religious freedom.
If we will not be governed by God, we must be governed by tyrants.
Don't miss this powerful new documentary by Dawn's Early Light, the story behind our national anthem. Share it with your church, family, and friends. For a limited time, watch it free at ByDawnsEarlyLightFilm.com. ByDawnsEarlyLightFilm.com.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
AM 560. The Answer.
Yeah, it was a rough night, Squirrel. Truckwinkle and Pritzker talking. You want to talk about not appetizing? My word. And this dizzy, dingbat moron, Truckwinkle, she'll win walking away. So will the Oak Park lesbian, Pritzker. Walking away. If only they had opponents. George, Naperville.
Yeah, Shaun, I wouldn't worry about how the Italians are doing. I see a lot of Latinos eating the Portillos.
Well, Dick Portillo is a Latino. Hello. And a brilliant businessman. And a wonderful guy. Squirrel, I ever tell you when I knew his kids? And I bought my first car playing cards with his kid. Tough kid. Terrible at cards. Glenn, Orlando.
Shaun, I was listening to Michael Noe's podcast, and he quotes the FBI as saying that the population of the gang membership in Chicago is 110,000. Do they have a good benefits program or something like that?
Well, first of all, I got a problem with that figure, and I'll tell you what it is. If you have illegals here and you don't know who they are, how do you think they got here? Who do you think their first affiliation is with? And who do you think orchestrates where they live? Take that 110,000 that the FBI is talking about, and would you say Knowles? Times it by 3, and you're probably short 150,000. This is how they get here. That's the big scandal, is that Joe Biden was working with the cartels. The Hornswoggler, in her Central and South American tour of $1.5 billion, where she came back with nothing but another $3.5 billion in commitments to give to the most corrupt countries outside of Chicago and Ukraine. This is who they work with. We'll never know the real numbers of illegal aliens and gangbangers. You'll never know. And first of all, they all know who the gangbangers are. And when I say they, I mean the illegal aliens and the coppers that can't say anything. Who's going to prosecute them? Democrat prosecutors? You got the coppers handcuffed. It's a bad scene, kid, which is why Blanche is the most important guy right now that's being held up, not by Democrats, by scum Republicans. That's the biggest story on the board. There is no question about it. The idea that Tom Tillis and that fracking Cornyn, that they have done this to the country, they're as bad of a traitor to this country as Mendomny. They're as bad of a rat-lying politician as Pritzker.
He's already the acting attorney general, but Todd Blanche's path to officially take over the office is blocked this morning. That's because 2 outgoing Republican senators, John Cornyn and Tom Tillis, are demanding written proof that a controversial part of President Trump's settlement with the IRS over the leak of his tax returns will be thrown out.
See, the media saying what they want, that has absolutely no validity. None whatsoever. This is the same stupid fracking media.
We do have some breaking news. Drug maker Pfizer just announcing the results of its vaccine trial for adolescents. It says its coronavirus shot was 100% effective at preventing infection and sickness among 12 to 15-year-olds.
Now, see, in the neighborhood, Squirrel, you get to lie one time, and then nobody ever believes a fracking word that comes out of your mouth. You're known as the town liar. You're a fraud. You're a scumbag. You're a lowlife, and nobody cares what you say. Hans Christian Andersen, if you're a likable face, they call you from across the street. In the meantime, this is what media does. So when they tell you what Tillis and what Cornyn want, that's bull dung. What they want is immunity from their own fraud. Both Ukraine supporters, the hundreds of billions of dollars that have gone missing. They want assurances that they will not be prosecuted because they're as crooked as Grand Avenue, just like the Democrats in Illinois stand. And Todd Blanche has a nasty little habit of arresting people.
Breaking moments ago, the Justice Department Fraud Task Force announcing a first-of-its-kind trade fraud crackdown. Correspondent Garrett Tenney's live in Chicago with the latest. This fraud task force really seems to be having an impact, Garrett.
Yeah, John, the Justice Department is calling trade and customs fraud a new frontier of fraud enforcement. In just under a year since DOJ and DHS launched the Trade Fraud Task Force, officials say their work has passed more than $1 billion in recoveries in court, penalties, forfeitures, and charge losses against folks who are trying to smuggle goods into the U.S., lying about what those items are in order to evade tariffs.
And you know, in less than a year, where they had the most success in the country, you know, Squirrel? O'Hare Airport. Not only good for misappropriating $19 billion, but if you're
a nefarious, low-life scumbag, smuggling counterfeit dope, whatever the frick you want. We got you. It's O'Hare. We got you, and that's why they're holding him up. They don't want to be busted anymore because the scum in Chicago have always had the cover of politicians. Not just his big fat ass Ed Burke or Mike Madigan, but they still do. The cover of politicians, just like in Minnesota, where even after they're caught, don't worry, no felonies for the Somalian pirates.
Hundreds of people charged with felony fraud, accused of stealing from Minnesota's Medicaid program.
It is accountability to prosecute people.
But 5 investigates found defendants walked away with lesser charges on their record.
It's as if there had been no criminal prosecution at all. If someone...
Because the prosecutors are in on it. You don't have to be Serpico to figure it out. 312-642-5600.
This is the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again. Not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency. Both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family owned with integrity since 1981.
Maybe you've thought about taking a cruise. Maybe you've even talked yourself out of it. But this is not just another vacation. This is the Gulf of America cruise. 7 days through the Caribbean with Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, Jennifer Horn, and a ship full of people who love this country. No packing and unpacking, no complicated planning, just great destinations, meaningful conversations, and a once-in-a-generation celebration of America's 250th. This November, be there. Text CRUISE to 94878 to book your cabin today.
This will be number 3, Squirrel. I am really looking forward to it. August 28th at the Lakeside Pavilion right behind the West End in Itasca. We get together. And the nice thing is you've been trapped in that half-assed gangster social club called Illinois and Cook County and the rest of it as we get taken down. At least let's spend some time together. It's a family party of sorts. End of summer, August 28th. It's a perfect venue. We need you to register. Number 1, we don't want any illegal scumbag aliens. You know what I mean. Number 2, we want to make sure that we don't have any moron thieves. So we want only the good people. We give you 4, 5, 6, 7, who knows how many hours of just us enjoying the show, enjoying the band, enjoying the anthem. And most importantly, it's just a wonderful place to get together. We need to know how much food to have available. Food will be available. How much drink to have available. And all you have to do, it's free. Just like socialism, only better. Nobody's telling you it's socialism and robbing you. Go to 560theanswer.com/ShaunFest. Shaun is spelled S-H-A-U-N. 560theanswer.com/ShaunFest. All you have to do is register. We have to know how much they have ready for you. Show up and have a great evening. I can't wait to be there on the 28th. In Itasca. So, sponsored in part, because our sponsors are growing, Squirrel. Like Donnelly's going to be there. We've got, they're not our sponsor, but Cigars will be there by Arlington Pipe and Tobacco. Can't wait to see them. LeavingIL.com, Virago, Dr. Huber, State Farm Insurance Agent Anthony DeGrotto, Unique Wood and Flags, Class A Insurance owned by Tommy and TJ Iaquinta, and you. And all you have to do, 560theanswer.com/ShaunFest. When we get back, we'll go to the lines, 312-642-5600 after Mike Scott.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. President Trump held a cabinet meeting at Camp David today. The meeting comes while the U.S. and Iran resume attacks. Spain is sending military reinforcements, responding to a surge of migrants. Fox's Greg Polcott.
Officials say nearly 50,000 entered Ceuta just in the last 24 hours. Prompted, it's believed, by a recent Spanish court ruling that immigrants arriving by sea would not be immediately turned away. Those new arrivals came by sea and by land, overwhelming local authorities, saying they were fleeing dire economic conditions in Africa.
A partial head recovered from the Fox River in McHenry County this week, prompting a death investigation. The remains have not been identified or connected to last weekend's fatal Fox River boat crash. Meantime, rescue personnel and boating experts in McHenry County are proposing imposing a speed limit on dangerous portions of the Fox River, similar to those in place on Lake Geneva. The news, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Your next news update is at 5. Continuous news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. And up next, a check of the afternoon roads in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Taking a look at traffic, Kennedy inbound between Canfield and Montrose jammed up. Should travel on the Kennedy outbound between Lawrence and Sayre, you're on the brakes. On the Eisenhower inbound, North Avenue to the Tri-State delays. Accident center lane block on the Ike outbound near St. Charles. Stevenson, an exit ramp partially blocked due to a stalled semi. It's the inbound off-ramp to the outbound Dan Ryan, and an accident outbound at Western Avenue. Dan Ryan, an accident outbound at 79th. Traffic is a service of Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. Measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
Now, your official weather forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight will be humid with periods of rain, some heavy, and a thunderstorm, so be cautious of flash flooding. The low will be 68. Moving into Saturday, expect mostly cloudy skies with more rain and a chance of a thunderstorm. The morning will be humid, but it will become breezy later on. If you're heading to the music festival, having rain gear handy is a good idea. The high will reach 72 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundle today at progressive.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Do you hear that?
Is that circus music?
Ladies and gentlemen, behold, the 8th wonder of the world.
What are you doing?
Step right up and see the magnificent Beck sofa at Penny Mustard.
The Beck sofa is pretty awesome, but why are you acting like a carnival barker?
Ever seen a little car at the circus?
You mean a clown car?
With clowns that keep climbing out one after another?
I don't know how they do that.
Exactly. The Beck sofa is Penny Mustard's clown car.
How so?
The Beck's appears to be a petite, apartment-sized sofa.
Yeah.
And yet, it comfortably seats several people, one after another.
That's why the Beck's is so popular. It fits in tiny spaces.
But it can hold contortionists, lion tamers, and the ringmaster, too.
Step right up and see the Beck sofa, starting at $19.77 at Penny Mustard.
Now open in Algonquin.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This hour of The Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. Estate jewelry, vintage watches, sell worldwide for true auction value. DonleyAuctions.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
She wants to abolish the Electoral College so that the thieves, the gangsters, the self-enriching, self-aggrandizing, low-life Democrat politicians can make certain every election is stolen. That's why Kamala Harris wants to eliminate the barrier. See, in theory, it's supposed to also help us separate from these most corrupt areas. And once they attain the governor's mansion, well, then you got big problems. So pay attention, Wisconsin. Even though she may love you long time, she's the real deal commie.
Anything in the DSA platform that you disagree with?
Yes.
Okay, what would that be?
Abolishing the Senate, I believe.
And you know, she looks a lot like a guppy. She's got a lot of charisma. Doesn't she, Squirrel? You could hear it in her voice. What exactly are your qualifications, you dimwit bimbo? So far, you worked with your husband that ran a restaurant into the fragging ground. That's your qualifications?
Anything in the DSA platform that you disagree with?
Yes.
Okay, what would that be?
Abolishing the Senate. I believe it's nonsensical and non-practical at this time.
I think we should abolish the communists. What do you think about that, Hong time?
What do you think, you rat commie? They're everywhere, Squirrel.
China. The New York Post reporting, quote, members of Mandani's DSA pledged to support and defend China. The pledge says, quote, survival of Chinese socialism is a crucial matter. Socialists' other promises, government-subsidized housing, free college, Medicaid.
Well, how else are they going to do it?
They're useless. They're worthless. They are human lice.
They're communists. And they know it. And what they're talking about, this isn't a political platform. This is subversion. This is treason. What they're doing is a declaration of war on our republic. And they need to dismantle it to turn everything into Illinoisistan, where you're going to pay the highest for everything, and you'll celebrate it. Now rub the feet of your fascist leader.
Getting a college education is now more affordable than ever as Latino students who pay no tuition and fees at Illinois colleges has more than doubled.
Squirrel, I'm telling you, you get yourself a face tattoo, one of those stupid king things on your neck. You go back to school, Squirrel, for zero. Guts on ghoul. Drinks are on the fat boy. Phil, Tinley Park.
Well, hey, Shaun. Oh, vagina. I hate those guys. I don't know, but that's not what I called about.
Whoa. Did you say vagina? Or did you say China?
No, I said vagina. You can use that.
All right.
Sometimes I say that to myself.
Very confused. Because I don't ever hate the vagina. I might hate the people attached to them, but never that. But go ahead.
Well, that's my nickname for them. But
all right, go ahead.
So, yeah, what did I do? I kind of took the summer off. I let FIFA cast their spell on me that they, 208 countries in the world can play the same game by the same rules type thing. But I don't know. Then it was over. Then we had this big hailstorm and tornado here Monday, and the news, everything. I'm kind of snapped out. I'm snapped back into reality.
Yeah, well, the good news about taking the summer off in Illinois, it's just less money they can steal from you. So I don't mind that at all. But you don't want to turn yourself into a Democrat. I'll give you about 2 to 3, 5, maybe 6 days, and then you got to go to work, kid.
No, well, I mean, I'm saying took it off from the news. I promise you I'm going to work. No, you thought no. No, yeah. So, hey, World Cup, Spain, you'd think a country that could shut down the greatest of all time, the current champions, would be able to come up with a plan to protect their own borders.
You're talking to me about third world illiterates kicking balls at RVs, and I don't care about soccer. I love you, but I don't care about soccer. I get what you're saying.
I know.
Hey, it's all the same to me. I could care less. In fact, that looked like one big soccer game when the Islamo-Nazis were running over the border. Roberto, Bloomingdale.
Shaun, how you doing?
Wonderful.
I heard you earlier on talking about that candidate from Maine running on the radical left ticket.
Two kids with his second cousin. I don't know how do you marry your second cousin? So he probably lied on the application. They lie anyway. But the nice thing about marrying your second cousin, no, you don't have to introduce anybody at the wedding. Just sit with your aunt. Savages. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, they should have went with that transvestite or transgender person. That would have been an upgrade, don't you think?
There was a transvestite there? Oh, you're talking about in the runoff. Yeah. Well, Meatloaf? You're talking about Meatloaf? I'm still stuck on the Nazi. Who was before the Nazi? Because the Nazi replaced somebody, too. The pickings are slim in Maine. Apparently for the women, too. You have to marry your second cousin. I mean, there is no depth too low. That's how they live
low. And it's a fascinating reality to see what's happening in New York. You know, in Chicago, we slow cooked it. Now you're used to these ass faces, ass hats, and all around scumbags stealing your money. But New York is quick, man, quick.
New York Democrats argue the words mother and father are outdated and need to be replaced with more inclusive terms under state law. All that's needed now is Governor Kathy Hochul's signature.
You can get that with a bottle of Merlot. The funny thing about what is happening on the East Coast is it kind of mirrors, as always it does, where the Democrats are. Rhode Island!
You know what I mean?
By the way, this is a former candidate for the mayor.
You know what I mean? Gum or anything like that? No. Okay. All right. Okay. So listen, all right? What else did you have to drink tonight?
Just a glass
Here
of
we
wine.
go.
That's it?
Yeah.
Just one glass of wine.
It's my cousin. I'm taking her home. We went to a Christmas party. I don't drink.
They can't tell the truth. Squirrel, what was the name of that dizzy bimbo who slammed into a couple of parked cars with an open wine bottle, the commissioner of Cook County? And she got off because of the lawyer and the judge.
Very random. Nor would I drive if I drank. My husband would drive if I was drinking.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty cool, so it's fine.
So I can smell alcohol coming off your breath right now. And your driving was pretty erratic. So I mean, you can make all the faces you want.
I'm just
that's
saying, if you want to do
perfectly
that,
fine.
embarrass me.
I'm not embarrassing you,
You
miss.
are,
You put
though.
yourself in this position, not me. So listen,
I didn't drink.
miss, stay in the vehicle. Stay in the vehicle. Stay in the vehicle.
And then the husband gets out. This is the funny thing, though. Embarrass you. You embarrass yourself, just like the Democrat policies. You embarrass yourself, and everybody wants to blame other people. See, the whole thing is embarrassing. Wherever you Democrats are, it's the same story. Same financial scandals of Chicago, same financial scandals of Cook County and Illinois and New York and New Jersey, Rhode Island, all the same.
So the day the American people put Democrats back in charge of Congress, here is our promise to you. We are going to hold the crooks accountable.
So are you going to surrender? Are you all going to turn yourself in? You are the crooks, each and every one of you. And I don't know how many times we have to go over it. But can somebody just start to address the Clintons, at least as the most obvious thieves this country has ever had? And I don't just mean the $400,000 they stole from the White House when they lost, when they had to leave in 2000. They stole $400,000 worth of items from the White House. I'm talking about the treason part.
Did Hillary Clinton give 20% of the United States supply of uranium to Russia for donations to the Clinton Foundation? And it flows out of the sale in 2010 of this company, Uranium One, which controlled about a fifth of America's uranium, to a Russian firm called Rosatom. By law, even though Uranium One was a Canadian firm, the U.S. part of this deal had to be approved by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S., which is comprised of 9 agencies, including the State Department. And at that time, Hillary Clinton was the boss there, Anderson.
So now, you know the funny thing about COVID, the pandemic? This all came out at a time when this was going to really hit the press. This story right here, this is an absolute, complete example of treason. Absolutely incomplete. Not just political bribery. Democrats are used to that. That's why they show up in Brioni suits, whether it's Brandon Johnson or that Cecil Turtle lookalike, Chris Welch. They like that part. That's the innuendo. You give me what I need, I'll give you some phony thing you need. That's how they work. But this right here is treason. And I couldn't help but think of it.
So the day the American people put Democrats back in charge of Congress, here is our promise to you. We are going to hold the crooks accountable.
So these are the people where not one Democrat, not one, went to any of the committee hearings of the trillions of dollars, trillions now, stolen during COVID. Trillions. Not one Democrat representative went to see the Minnesota fraudsters, which is the greatest example ever. 80% of the entire community on welfare, the other 20% are stealing our money. That's just the breakdown. And now they don't even get felonies.
Is charged with felony level fraud. Shouldn't they have a felony on their record?
Tonight, 5 Investigates is tracking fraud cases prosecuted by the Minnesota Attorney General's office.
Our team spent months reviewing hundreds of Medicaid fraud cases, and investigative reporter Kirsten Swanson discovered many defendants walked away with little record of the crime they committed.
This is why all the people that talk about Fauci, and they say, I want to see him arrested. What is happening is better than arrested. This is today. This is from today. This is not a reporter. This is a Washington citizen walking down the street, and he stumbles upon Pickle-Face Fauci talking to a cop or a Capitol policeman, because, you know, they're all friends. You know how they staged at January 6th, that whole thing. And half of them are stooping each other. That's why Nancy Pelosi could care less about Paul Stinky Hammers and his boyfriend driving around in California. She's having the time of her life on her desk in Washington with a Capitol copper. So Fauci's talking to one of the cohorts of corruption, a Capitol copper. And all of a sudden, Citizen Zero says, wait a minute, isn't that Anthony Fauci?
Dr. Fauci, do you regret the way you handled the hearing, pleading the fifth so much?
He sees
Is there anything you would do differently on COVID, sir?
And he scurries into the House like a rat that he is. And that guy voted Democrat. Prior to this confrontation, he says, I voted Democrat. I believed him. I took the shot. All of the nonsense. That's the best punishment for these scum. Not only is he a known thief for money, but everybody who once was dumb enough to buy their nonsense now sees them for what they are. 312-642-5600.
Marxists, socialists, and communists are not welcome on the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
For over 40 years, the Heartland Institute has stood for the ideas that built this country. Free markets, limited government, and individual freedom. Now you're invited to celebrate that legacy in person. Join Heartland on Thursday, September 3rd for their 42nd anniversary benefit dinner at the historic Palmer House Hilton in downtown Chicago, one of the city's most iconic addresses for over 150 years. This year's keynote speaker is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has led Florida through 2 terms of record economic growth, making it one of the fastest growing states in the nation. The evening kicks off with a reception at 5, dinner at 6, an evening of great company, great conversation, and a shared belief in the principles that made America exceptional. Seats are limited, and they will go fast. Reserve yours today at benefit.heartland.org. That's benefit.heartland.org. The Heartland Institute's 42nd Anniversary Benefit Dinner, September 3rd, Palmer House Hilton, Chicago. Don't just believe in freedom, celebrate it.
Insurance came out about the roof, offered us $15,000. I was thrilled.
I know it seems like a lot, but I'm not sure that number is that generous. Insurance is usually going to lowball you.
I mean, I already found 2 companies who could replace it for that.
Sure, contractors will make it fit that budget, but they're cutting corners to make it work.
How's that?
Cheap materials, lower grade shingles with a poor warranty, reusing old flashing, cheap underlayment.
How would I even know?
You wouldn't. That's exactly why I'd call New Edge Improvement. They'll go through your insurance quote line by line, catch what's being cut, and fight to get you covered. You have a beautiful home, and New Edge Improvement will do a quality install and help you get the roof you're owed. One that matches the quality of what you had.
Thanks. I'll give New Edge Improvement a call.
New Edge Improvement. Visit them today at newedgeimprovement.com. Again, that's newedgeimprovement.com and tell them AM 560 sent you.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Patrick, CEO of Total Wall and a client of Signature Bank. We produce high-performance materials used in exterior insulating finish systems and other stucco applications. During a recent business transaction, I learned quickly that having the right banking partner matters. Signature Bank stepped in, took time to understand my business needs, and kept things moving. If you need a banking partner you can rely on, look for a team with real experience and a commitment to your success. For me, that's Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Join Illinois Family Action for the Save America Rally, 7 p.m. Tuesday, August 4th at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Former U.S. Comptroller General David M. Walker, along with businessman and author Joe Penland Sr., will offer big, bold, and practical solutions for fixing Social Security and protecting other vital programs from the reach of those who preach for communism in America. And during the Save America Rally, hopeful messages for the land of Lincoln from key Illinois candidates Darren Bailey for governor, Don Tracy for U.S. Senate, and James Martyr for Congress. Go to IllinoisFamilyAction.org for more information. IFA's David Smith.
Join us as we stand together to save America.
The Save America Rally is free. Be there Tuesday, August 4th at the Bolingbrook Golf Club. Find out more at IllinoisFamilyAction.org. Paid for by Illinois Family Action.
AM 560, The Answer.
I don't have time to, we'll do that later in the show. Go after all the Democrats now that are pulled their head out of their derriere. You mean Fauci knew? What idiots. I mean, I can't get over the amount of idiots that can offset the vote of decent people in this country. It's truly amazing. But years ago, I had Louis Gutierrez. You remember him, Squirrel? You're probably too young. Louis Gutierrez was a socialist cab driver, scumbag, moron, thief. He got in with the, he was the head of the cab driver socialist revival party, whatever the frack they were, back in the 80s, late 70s. And he got into politics. He rubbed the right Daley's inner thigh. That's how they do it. That's how Barack Obama did it in a hot tub. And they get invited into the game of politics. Well, sure enough, Louis Gutierrez, scumbag, tax cheat. He had his home where he had built it. He was paying vacant land taxes for, 10 years, 12 years, and then said his secretary screwed it up. That's how the clout that people get used to. But one day, before I started to really think I'm gonna rock this world, I was busy making money, raising a family, and I learned that Elmwood Park had been gerrymandered into the district of this ghetto in Logan Square. So his district went all the way from the city of Chicago, and it went out to Elmwood Park, because Elmwood Park used to be run by, it still is, but not Daley Democrats. They were Republicans. It was one of a few municipalities. And I said, look, this stupid son of a pig, I forgot what it was back. This is in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. And I called him up and I said, listen, what's wrong with you? Thinking that he wants to hear from the constituents. And some moron answered the phone. Cello? Who the frack are you? Are you Vato Loco? Are you his moron cousin? I think it was Chuy Garcia who used to work for him, that other scumbag who's now the congressman. Hey, hello, man. I said, you work for a congressman, you fracking moron? I'm here talking to you about a bill that's before Congress that affects us all. Yeah, he's not here. Get the frack out of here. And you realize what scum they are. You are all scum. You hire your moron, degenerate, bust-out relatives and friends in your little committees. You get endless money. How many people know that right now congressmen get $40,000 a year to redo their fracking office? They don't do anything. They steal and pocket the money. These pigs. And it's the same on your municipal level. Even in my old neighborhood, I went back, we had that Pete Silvestri with that dog on his head crooked. After he got out of the forest preserve, he was going to take away parking. And they're all standing there. You're wasting your time in these mobbed-up Democrat dungholes. But rarely, Squirrel, do we have some lady who finally sues, and you can see an idea of what exactly they say to each other when people get up and speak. Their constituents, who they pretend to represent. This isn't even Chicago or Illinois or New York or New Jersey. But when they're Democrats, it's the same fracking thing. Oklahoma City.
An open records request on some Tulsa city councilors revealed a shocking group chat of insults aimed at a Tulsa woman who was speaking before the council. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Shay Razi.
And I'm Nathan Thompson. Glad you're with us. New at 9,
No
Fox
relation.
23's Burt Mumolo shows us how a call for ethics reform ended up revealing a controversy of its own.
It seems like what we're still doing now is like the fox guarding the hen house.
Last month, Tulsa resident Jennifer Harmon spoke before the city council to voice her concerns about their ethics policy.
I think that we should have an outside body, an independent ethics commission.
Because as it is now, the council itself is the final judge on potential ethics violations of its own members.
At the end,
it's like making a drug-dealing, gang-banging, degenerate scumbag crew
Prison guards. Same fracking thing. Democrats can't balance budgets. They steal money. They can't represent people. They laugh at you. They laugh at you. All that toll booth. People went up. When did they do the meeting? 11 o'clock in the morning. People at work. You fracking scumbags. They get 20 kiss asses in a room. 20 kiss asses. And they raise the tolls to $1.24 each way. And the reason is you don't know where that money is. See, that whole toll money and all that road nonsense, that's where the real money is. And they love it. Thieves.
At the end of the day, you as a city council are still the last arbiter of whether or not a conflict or a violation occurred, and that's a problem.
Respectful and polite, the theme of her message was, let's tackle this together.
And I don't think it's a people problem, I think it's a structural problem.
Despite her own decorum, Jennifer noticed something while glancing at the various counselors.
One of them had a telephone and had a cell, picked it up, and they looked at each other and they were giggling about it.
To find out what was so funny, Jennifer decided to file an open records request.
And so I requested their texts during the time that I was speaking. And in fact, they were texting back and forth about me.
The results were shocking. With Counselor Dexter Wright texting 3 other counselors, Burt Mumolo is here to cover Dum-Dum.
They laugh at the lady. See down here, Squirrel, we have a moron mayor who I didn't vote for in Naples. She's a drunk pig, gets a DUI. She violated her parole. You know, she's part of that Merlot manic depressant mafia down here, taking gummies. She's doing 10 days in lockup. And when she gets out, she's done. They're going to repeal her. The difference when you live among decent versus indecent. You cannot live where thieves govern. We'll be back.
This is the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
Networks, streaming services, retail chains, and tech giants are all adding plus to their names. But where did the concept originate? We may be biased, but we think these big wigs found their inspiration for plus at Hasseless Mattress. Hasseless showrooms are employee-free. Give your mattress a try with no pushy sales guy. Plus, our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $293. Plus, unbeatable prices on Tempur-Pedic. Plus, free next-day delivery and setup. Plus, free haul away and disposal of your old mattress. Plus, 60-month interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic with approved credit. Plus, a $300 MasterCard gift card with your Tempur-Pedic mattress. Plus, a ruggedly handsome spokesman with a smooth radio voice. Get all this, plus a whole lot more when you shop at Hasseless Mattress. Or maybe we should change our name to Hasseless Plus. Nah. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at Hasseless.com.
WIND, Chicago.
You need to be tuning into the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, the radio companion to the Amazon best-selling book, Success Blueprint, How to Build the Retirement You Deserve. Each week, Michael shares strategies designed to help reduce market risk through income-generating investments that can provide steady returns. Because if you can avoid a big loss, you don't need to take big risks. Catch the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, Saturday mornings at 10, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
I have had the pleasure of talking to our next guest one time before, in the height of the Fourth Reich power, during the illegitimate election thief Joe Biden censorship regime in 2023. See, I was very impressed with him then. He was way ahead of his time. Author of the book, Fauci's Fiction. We'll be joined by Dr. Michael Schwartz after Mike Scott.
Good afternoon. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Partly sunny and 87 this afternoon. Rain on the way. The president is suggesting he could withdraw Todd Blanche's nomination for Attorney General until two GOP holdouts, John Cornyn and Thom Tillis, are gone from the Senate.
I have no objection to temporarily withdrawing Todd's name if they do not do the right thing, the president posted on social media, saying he'll wait until the new Congress convenes in January, putting him back after Cornyn and Tillis are out of office.
A deal to disarm Hamas has been announced. The president writing on social media, the Board of Peace has reached an agreement that would involve a complete disarmament of all armed groups in Gaza. Indiana Dunes National Park officials warning against swimming at 5 of the park's beaches because of elevated E. coli levels. And 2 were found dead from apparent gunshot wounds inside of a south suburban home on Thursday near 150th Street and Vine in Harvey. Cubs and Yankees today, White Sox and Tampa Bay tonight. The news a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report. The major averages ending the last trading day of the week and month higher on strong tech earnings as Amazon's blockbuster earnings results ease fears over AI spending. Amazon stock surging over 15% on cloud strength and posting its fastest revenue growth in 4 years. However, Apple stock tumbled over 7%, dragging its market capitalization down by $358 billion after the iPhone maker's September quarter outlook failed to impress investors. Apple is also warning that supply constraints will hurt growth. The Magnificent Seven big cap tech stocks were mostly higher, led by Amazon, Alphabet, and Meta. The trio adding hundreds of billions of dollars to their market caps this week. The Dow up 277 points, the Nasdaq higher by 252, S&P 500 up 52. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
If you haven't switched to Pure Talk because you're not sure their coverage is every bit as reliable as Big Wireless, why not take them for a test drive? For a limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited data plan. No contracts, no commitments, just a great deal on a high-speed network with unlimited data from an American wireless company. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-260-2266, 800-260-2266, 800-260-2266.
Hey, did you ever track down that missing warehouse key?
I forgot all about it.
You forgot? You said that guy was furious when you had to let him go.
That doesn't matter anymore. Goldilocks set us up with new managed access control. We're keyless now. Everyone has a card or fob. Even their phone works.
Huh. You don't have to worry about people copying keys either.
Yeah, never again. Goldilocks allows me to handle everything from my phone or laptop. I can see who came into the building, when they left, restrict their access at night. I can grant temporary access to visitors, too. It takes 30 seconds to add or remove someone.
That sounds a lot safer and simpler.
Stop guessing who has access to your building. Set up access controls today by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600 or visit GoldilocksInc.com. Goldilocks. Security under your control.
Tough afternoon on the roads. We'll start on the outbound Ike. You're jammed up
with an accident outbound at St. Charles. Cleanup underway. On the Stevenson, an exit ramp partially blocked due to a stalled semi. It's on the inbound side, but on the off-ramp to the outbound Dan Ryan Expressway. Dan Ryan itself with an accident outbound at 79th. DuSable Lakeshore Drive reported an accident with injuries southbound in the cleanup stage at the Oak Street curve. Traffic, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app, 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Now, your official weather forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight will be humid with periods of rain, some heavy, and a thunderstorm, so watch out for flash flooding. The low temperature will be 68. Moving into Saturday, expect mostly cloudy skies with more rain and a chance of a thunderstorm. It'll be humid in the morning, transitioning to breezy later on. If you're heading to the music festival, having rain gear handy might be a good idea. The high temperature will reach 72 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
I love America. I love the Constitution. I love the First Amendment. I want to carry and all else. I love property. And let me tell you something. If you care about your country, I'll read Ludwig von Mises and the 6 lessons of the Austrian Economic School, motherfuckers.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
What I love about interviewing my next guest is that I have talked to him before. In fact, I talked to him during American Dark Ages when the Fourth Reich, the illegitimate election thief and fraud, Joe Biden, was on a changing table pretending to be president when he wasn't. But the Fourth Reich administration was running things. In fact, I was censored the last time I talked to our next guest. He was too. It was his first book, Fauci's Fiction. He went on to great success, as you can't stop good people, even in bad times. Entrepreneur, published author, media commentator, doctor of law. He went on to have extensive experience in everything healthcare. Very interesting. Dr. Michael Schwartz, how are you?
Thank you, sir. It's been way too long, Shaun. It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we survived it. We're Fauci survivors. And I think that's how time will be told. I always thought it would be Barack Obama, before BO and after BO. But so much of what we lived through was really set in motion under BO. And that's what we should never lose perspective of. The massive strength of this particular bureaucrat, this pickle-face fraud, really expanded under Obama. It was there through the years with the vaccines changing in 88. It was him that changed the vaccines for kids and all the rest of it. It was also there in the 80s, in the early 80s, with AIDS and how he specifically screwed that up, I think purposely. But what we live through now is arguably the greatest scandal in this country's history, is it not?
I would agree. I mean, here we are, 6 years later, finding out everything we were saying to our patients at the time was exactly right. I mean, and for what, Shaun? Think about it. We thought that maybe this guy's net worth was going up so high and it had to be about the money. We come to find out it's about vanity and fame, hanging out with the stars. He wanted his footprint, his hands in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, this guy. For what? Seriously. I mean, we told everybody that the mortality rate of COVID was going to be between 0.01 and 0.02% in April of 2020. And that wasn't hyperbole. That was based on our testing. You got to remember, we were the first company in New Jersey to do one on 19,000 patients, 44,000 tests. And lo and behold, later, everything we said 6 years ago is now coming to fruition.
Well, and the other thing that I think, I know we said it during the interview, I'm 90% sure. I have been saying it since they first came out with that ridiculous vaccine. The vaccine will kill more people than COVID. I don't think the final tally is yet, because you can't really decide. After all, what they put in people is still having effects to this day. It's an amazing example of malpractice that was that every doctor partook in, or at the threat of losing their license, and some did. And it was really something to see also the money that flowed into the most corrupt areas, like my old one, Illinois and Chicago. And that, we can never forget that. During that shutdown, what happened? You bailed out, you put on the sideline all the investigations into these corrupt, crooked rat politicians, and you splashed the pot. He added $9 trillion to our national debt in 4 years. It's inconceivable to even think about how much money that is. So I think he's a player and a key player, but I think he's a key player in the same vein that I think Goebbels was a player in the Third Reich. I think Fauci is a player in the Fourth Reich.
Sure. Well, I mean, a couple of things there to break down. Number one, I would not call it a vaccine. You say something that, 70, 80, 90 years old, they're thinking lifetime immunity, inoculation. That's not what you get. This was developed like a flu shot. And we knew that back then. We knew the technology was different. This is mRNA. It wasn't live attenuated like MMR or polio, something like that. So that's number one. They gaslit a whole bunch of people. But isn't it funny how so many people rolled over at the threat of losing their job or licenses? So I agree with you. He is a pawn. But when you think about this, I mean, President Trump was also a victim here. He was getting bad advice from these trusted advisors that he thought was going to give him real information. Meanwhile, they were doing it to try to undercut him the entire time.
Oh, absolutely. And it was, and they needed that. But, I give Trump this. He is like we are. He never ran for anything. It's an amazing thing he achieved. He had never run for any office. The first office this guy ever ran for was the presidency, and he won it, which is what made him an enemy of all the professional bureaucrats. And the problem with good people, I recognize this, I'm sure you do as well. Good people think all Americans have the same intentions of America succeeding. They don't understand how to think like a Chicago Democrat. They have no intentions of success, only the illusion of representation while they steal the money. And what's fascinating is I think he trusted the bureaucracy far more than he should have. Even though I know he didn't trust it much, he still trusted it enough where he took the advice of these scoundrels. And what I'm loving to see is that woman who was his cohort. I always forget her name. She had the scarf around her neck. She's aging terribly.
Deborah Birx.
Deborah Birx. She now, over the last 2 days, is trying to cut bait and run from this scandal. So it's interesting to see how they can now hoist all of the guilt and blame on this very player. He actually may be an asset to even the people he thought were his friends. Is that possible?
It could be. I mean, look, what's the old saying? You could fool some of the people some of the time, but not all the people all the time. And at some point, the truth starts to come out. Look, Trump's got a copy of both of my books on COVID, Fauci's fiction and vaccine fiction, but they wouldn't even let him know at the time what we were trying to tell everybody. Meta's a player in this. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, they were all complicit. Even Amazon. Jim Jordan uncovered those emails from the White House to Amazon asking them to censor books on COVID. They didn't want anybody in the country to be credible on this source. And lo and behold, like I said, here we are again being proven right. I don't like to say I told you so. I wrote all this and tried to go on shows like yours, which is very much appreciated, to get the word out, to let people know the truth. And here we are sitting here. We got people sick from these shots. You got people who have died. They don't know. You mentioned it earlier. And I wrote in my book, Shaun, that this probably shortened the lifespan of the populace by 3 to 5 years on average. And that is a very conservative estimate.
Well, the time is the enemy of all men. You can't get it back. And just the time sidelined was annoying enough. But at the time we had that conversation, we were all censored. And, this to me, and all of the players you mentioned, absolutely culpable. And yesterday, as the evidence came out that he was going to, I actually didn't think he was going to be as obvious as he was with his guilt by pleading the fifth. I figured with the immunity, he could say whatever he wants to say. At the time, I made the choices that were prudent. That's all he had to say. And it would have still kept the argument going. But in my mind, what he did is give us the opportunity for a civil RICO case against all of these people that did this. Because when you and I talked last, it was in the height of it all. We were both censored. And at that time, I was referring to a clip that was out there of these, what are they called? The Squad, the ugly socialist women with Jayapal with the cockeye and Rashida Tlaib with the camel's ass face, and AOC. And they were, at that point, they had brought in Zuckerberg, they had brought in the players in Google, and they were threatening them. They were threatening them and leveraging them. I think through a civil RICO, which is very rarely used, but it should be used, you could get every player in this that profited from it. You could throw it against the wall at everything. Do you think? I mean, I'm taking advantage of you being a law student and you being an officer of the court. Do you think this is something that should be investigated for all of the people who were censored? It's not just we were right. We knew what was going on. We were trying to warn our fellow citizens. There has to be some sort of recourse. It's not going to come through any adjudicated prison time for anybody. Let's take away what they got, money.
Yeah, that's what you want to do is hit them in the pocketbook. Well, now Florida AG says they want to do something here, legally. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping, I'm hanging my hat. Everybody thinks, probably this in your audience too, that nothing is going to happen. I would love to see something civil, but what are we talking about? A class action suit with every single person in the country who's been, injured by a shot? How do you prove that? How do you show the actual cause, the proximate cause? I have patients who got those shots, and all of a sudden, they had joint issues or heart issues like almost immediately after. You can see it on studies to prove. There you might be able to draw a line, but don't forget the shot companies, the vaccine companies, for lack of better words, have immunity. So how do you file a civil case?
I think with the evidence you have at hand, the immunity that they have was really an agreement signed by Trump 1. Trump 1 signed the immunity deal, right? I mean, you could argue that it was given during the Reagan years. However, it was Trump 1 during the Operation Warp Speed that really made some compensation. He could revoke it. I mean, well, the other thing too is you and I both know. You see all these cases, right? You get some slip and fall attorney out of Chicago South Side. He throws up a case against Meta, and everybody who signs in gets $5, and the rest of it. I'm not talking about the individuals getting rich. I'm talking about harming the people who harmed us. And I also think you could throw it at a lot of these doctors that knew better and leveraged and profited. I mean, it's bigger than OxyContin. I believe the vaccine is a bigger scandal than OxyContin. How's that for bombastic?
I would agree with you, but I'll tell you what. I had a lawyer who was interested in taking my case to court because once those emails from Jim Jordan came out, the First Amendment is there. People think free speech is just free speech. It's not. It's there to protect you from the government infringing on your free speech, not Meta, somebody like that with a private, a private platform. So, but I did have an attorney who was interested because my free speech rights were hampered by the federal government telling Amazon not to censor my book, essentially. And by that time, after the fog of war, Shaun, the statute of limitations had expired. That's a lot of the problem. You had all this happen under the fog of war, and the further and further you get away from the cause of it all, it's much harder to prosecute a case.
Unless, of course, you want to claim that Donald Trump sexually molested you in a dressing room. You could bring that up at any time. There's no statute of limitations on it. So remind everybody about exactly, because you have a company that directly was trying to save people at the time of all of this, correct?
We have a medical clinic in Seagirt, New Jersey. I had one at the time in Key West, Florida, then Tampa, Florida. We saw a lot of patients. We jumped at it because we were doing respiratory pathogen panels for years before COVID came out, and we kind of knew how to tackle this. It was just really by happenstance. One of the labs that we worked with was one of the first 30 in the nation to get approval, and that's how we wound up being the first in New Jersey. Of course, I didn't get paid from the federal government. They never paid me on Medicaid. They never paid me on uninsured folks, and we took a pretty big hit along that way, too, trying to do the right thing. So I'm kind of glad it's all over. But it's frustrating that we had to even go through that exercise in the first place.
So one of your other specialties is you've been talking about public policy for years. That's pretty much where you spend a lot of your time. When you look at just how much money was stolen during those years, I mean, it's nauseating and sickening. Minnesota, although an incredible example, tip of the iceberg for L.A., tip of the iceberg for these communities that have insane policies with taking advantage of Medicare and Medicaid. I'm wondering how you think the best way to tackle this. See, because I want to end it all. I want to end it all. The idea that they even get to do this, I see no evidence of any of it working. And I'm talking about Medicare and the rest of it. I feel we'd be much better off if everything went back to privatization of insurance and doctors, break the backs of this money laundering scheme. But you're talking about one community of people in Minnesota that have stolen upwards of $12 billion. Complete fraud in record time. What do you think when you look at this? What's the best way to handle it?
And they let it happen right under their noses. And you're right. You know, we should stop it. When we find the fraud like that, you got to cut it off. You're not going to fix it. The government's too big. And then when another administration gets in, it says, we're not going to kind of focus on that anymore. What do they care? Look, I've run about 55 campaigns in my lifetime. I've done everything from presidential all the way down to local levels. It's a common theme in all of government that it's just too big. People can't keep track of everything. And if we can't keep track of the money that our people are paying through their tax dollars, and obviously I have a whole argument that we shouldn't be in the income tax scheme, we really should get rid of this nonsense.
Well, the other thing, when you look at the kind of money we're talking about, and you look at the example of the kind of properties that they owned, the cars that they drove, the money created a real estate boom in Somalia. The money was being used to, Somalia has a GDP that's probably less than a grocery store chain in California. That we doubled their GDP with the money that was stolen and imported from Minnesota. They were flying it on airplanes. Now, to me, there is no possible way that the prosecutors, the politicians, everybody knew. We had the evidence of their AG, what's his name, Ellis, sitting down, getting campaign contributions. You have the paper trail. Don't you think this is something, too? The statute of limitations is not expired on this. You have to start prosecuting these politicians. Is there any question in your mind that the politicians didn't know?
They had to be involved. The average IQ in Somalia is, 68? So
yeah, 59, I think. I think you gave them an extra 9 points, but let's go with 68. My Boston Terrier's got an 80. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you don't even have the capacity to come up with these ideas. I think these politicians, look, they had to have known. And you look at USAID, too. Most of that money was going to Democratic organizations. I think George Soros got $202 million. Chelsea Clinton's foundation got $80-some million. It was a Democratic, shill going on right there. But all of these people are complicit, including the media and including all of these social media companies that run cover for these people. It's really a shame.
So down here in Florida, where I am, I just had a conversation with a New Yorker. Great guy. He was looking for a place. We're talking to him, and he's like, I got to get out of there. Got to get out of there. I have to get. Now you see what's happening with Mondamny, and you see what's happening with Pritzker, Newsom, and the rest of it. I'm curious to know, where are you hanging your shill?
Well, unfortunately, I'm still in New Jersey. My wife and I talk about it all the time. It's a what do you afford type thing, right? I mean, I had a place in Florida for many, many years, and it was like living in two different worlds. We have begun to talk about where we're going to retire, where we're going to go, at least to, get out of this hole of New Jersey. We just had a governor up there who won by more votes than any presidential candidate. Meanwhile, Shaun, they tell you there were 6,600 people on the rolls that were not supposed to be registered, and 400 of them voted. That's just the tip of the iceberg, and I don't think they're ever going to fix that in my home state. So if you got any good suggestions, please let me know, my friend.
Yes, Southwest Florida. I'm going to tell you what I tell everybody I talk to. Why do you hate the money, Doc? Why do you hate your money? And when you look at the difference of the expenses, of the taxes, of the difference of starting businesses, what I'm advocating for, and people get mad at me, why do you say that? Because if you do not have the ability for the counties that are captured by the bad counties in great states, used to be great states, then you have to abandon the state. And I'm waiting for Trump to start to recognize this. And I say this to you because in Illinois, there are now 40 counties. 33 already voted. 7 are voting in November for secession. If you look at the West Coast, I don't care if you go to California, to Oregon, to Washington State, there are counties that are trying to secede. I know New Jersey's the same. I have a friend of mine in New York, great guy, smart, real estate, wicked smart. He actually said to me, I'm going to abandon a place I grew up and built my legacy in. I'm going to abandon it. So ultimately, if you don't have the right to corral the thieves, like we were covering, they know the scam. The politicians that are destroying these states are the same ones that have been stealing the money or complacent about it. So there has to be some broader point. I don't know. I'm turning to you, doctor, lawyer. Let's do something.
Just law school, Shaun. Don't give me that credit yet. And I don't want to get in trouble over here. 2L. So I'm learning it, but it's eye-opening. I got to tell you, when you start learning the law and you start learning how it works, you learn one thing. The courts are not there for fairness. Everybody always thinks these things are going to get prosecuted. They're there to get things off the rolls. They don't want to hear your nonsense. They want them done. They want them settled in mediation. So most of these things that you see and you're waiting for, you're hoping they'll come down the pike because it's obvious to us and it's the right thing to do. They don't want to hear it. And the Supreme Court, I mean, we still got problems there. Right now, that I heard last month was the first month we took in negative tariff revenue for the first time in this country. So even the things Trump's trying to do to get the country on track, he's getting hit at every turn.
Well, I get a lot of economic guys on. I love it. You know, that was how I started, right? And you want to know here a fascinating reality? 11 states make up 74% of this country's GDP. So when I talk to people who are in these Democrat states, they're like, everything's terrible. They don't get it because the tragedy of what we have is the beauty of it, right? Federalism and its separation in individual states. But the reality is that means the abuse is compartmentalized and people have a bad quality. All human beings do. They can adapt lower far easier than they can demand higher. So that's why you listen to your wife and you come down here by me anytime you want. All right?
All right. I'm happy to, my friend. I will take a trip anytime you want.
All right, Dr. Fauci, or Fauci's fiction. You have the other one, vaccine fiction. You have 3, though, right, that you've written on this topic during the dark years?
Well, the new one's on politics, the only way to save America. I got to send you a copy of that. I think you would like it a lot.
Oh, come on now. Let's not monkey around. I'll send you a cigar. Dr. Michael Schwartz, thanks for always making time for me. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Shaun.
Thank you. We'll be back with your calls and comments.
He's Shaun Thompson.
Hello, Mr. Thompson.
And this is the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
MyPillow is celebrating our country's 250th anniversary with savings up to 50% off their made-in-the-USA products. For example, get the queen-size premium MyPillow for $18.98 and the king-size for just $1 more. Get body pillows with a free pillowcase for only $39.98. Get the MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99 and $80 off the MyCross. All made right here in the USA. But there is so much more. In fact, they have over 200 products. Go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Chicago or call 800-489-0201 to check out all of the great products they are offering. Get everything from MyPillow blankets, sleepwear, kitchen towels, mattresses, duvets, pet beds, comforters, couch pillows, bathrobes, and so much more. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code Chicago to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
It's stage 312-642-5600. When we'll get back, we'll take your calls and comments. That'll be after Mike Scott.
Good evening, Shaun. In our QC Kinetics newsroom, we see partly cloudy skies overnight. Chance of rain, low of 70. President Trump held a cabinet meeting at Camp David today as news of a deal to disarm Hamas has been announced.
President Trump announcing a deal has been reached for Hamas to disarm and Israel to withdraw its forces from Gaza. It comes 9 months after the two sides signed a ceasefire agreement, but no timetable for implementation has been announced.
Reporter Chris Pallone. The Chicago Board of Education signs off on a nearly $10 billion amended budget that includes non-guaranteed state dollars.
If we're not including the state in this conversation, we are fooling ourselves and we are robbing our kids of opportunity.
After heated discussion, the board approved the spending plan that anticipates an additional $150 million in state funding. The news, a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you. Visit 56david.com or 855-563-2843. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 613114. Your next news update is at 6. And up next, a check of the afternoon roads in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Checking traffic on this rainy afternoon. We'll start on the Tri-State. You're jammed up northbound between 8094 and Halstead. The Tri-State northbound also on the brakes, Irving Park to Balmoral. Veteran stop and go southbound between I-290 and North Avenue. You're also jammed with a disabled vehicle on the exit ramp southbound to the off-ramp at 75th. Delays on Route 53 as you're traveling northbound between the Ike and Northwest Highway. I-80 solid eastbound between I-55 and Larkin. And an accident on I-80 center lane block westbound right before Briggs. This update, a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 613114.
Now, your official weather forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight will be humid with periods of rain, some heavy, and a thunderstorm, so be cautious of flash flooding. The low will be 68. Moving into Saturday, expect mostly cloudy skies with more rain and a chance of a thunderstorm. The morning will be humid, but it will become breezy later on. If you're heading to the music festival, having rain gear handy is a good idea. The high will reach 72 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Time now for a check of the lowest gas prices in Chicagoland.
In Kane County, regular no lead is $3.99 a gallon at the Shell on Lake Street in Aurora, $4.02 a gallon at the Thorntons on 64 in St. Charles, and $4.09 a gallon at the Casey's on McLean in South Elgin.
If you see a low gas price, text the word gas to 312-642-5600, followed by the price and location. And listen each weekday afternoon at 12:30 and 5:30 to hear the lowest gas prices in Chicagoland.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
During the War for Independence, General George Washington, the man we refer to today as the father of our country, led American troops through military defeat after defeat. And in the bitter winter of 1777, he wrote this somber note to a friend in Philadelphia. Quote, "You might have tracked our army from White Marsh to Valley Forge by the blood on their feet," end of quote. Many soldiers continued to march through the deep snows of Pennsylvania without shoes. Others suffered from disease, hunger, and freezing conditions. Nearly 2,000 of Washington's men died. Yet George Washington did not lose faith. Amid the hardship, loss, and uncertainty of Valley Forge, he turned to God in prayer. At a time when our nation once again faces division and uncertainty, may we follow Washington's example, kneeling humbly, praying faithfully, and asking God to guide the future of America.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic, could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did, they gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8924. 800-575-8924. That's 800-575-8924.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This hour of The Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. Have military collectibles? Turn that history into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
I can't remember nothing, no. But the good time.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. It fooled me, we can't get fooled again.
You know that that lowlife, George W. Bush, lowlife fraud, he did not go to Lindsey Graham's funeral. There was not a bigger supporter of this idiot's foreign policy than Lindsey Graham, and he didn't go.
The Biden administration knew that COVID was created in a lab, ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine worked against it, and that the vaccine performed poorly, but decided to keep their findings from the American public, according to a DARPA memo. A U.S. Marine Corps major assigned as a DARPA fellow concluded in an August 13th, 2021 memo to the Department of Defense Inspector General that SARS-CoV-2 matched a bat vaccine developed under EcoHealth Alliance program at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Early treatments, including ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, worked against it. They knew that since 2020. And the gene-encoded mRNA shots performed poorly because they replicated the same engineered spike protein. President Trump in 2020 talked about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, saying they could be treatments for COVID, but both Anthony Fauci and his mainstream media colleagues shut down the treatments and attacked President Trump as well as doctors.
Fast forward.
I'm a grieving vaccine injured doctor. I've been diagnosed with a persistent autoimmune condition related to loss of bifidobacteria in my guts. An advanced blood test suggested I'm at slightly increased risk of cancer in the short term. Looking at the totality of up-to-date evidence and what you've heard from eminent witnesses today, in my view, millions of Americans and millions more across the world may be in clear and present danger of suffering premature cardiovascular disease and cancer. Without allowing all scientists to debate this openly, without fear of censure, we will not be able to identify who is most at risk and how these risks can be mitigated.
Dr. Albert Malhotra is his name. Doctor number 2.
I've been in cancer immunotherapy for over 3 decades. I became aware in early 22 of my patients who'd been stable for years, mainly melanoma patients. They'd had several different types of immunotherapy. And in 6 weeks, I saw 6 patients relapse with melanoma. They'd been stable for 3 to 18 years. And the thing that was common is they'd all received a booster vaccine from their general practitioners. And my initial observation that this was all due to T-cell suppression started to fade into the perspective that other actors were at work with the vaccine, as it were. Colorectal cancer was being reported by my patients, by my fellow surgeons, as presenting late, stage 4, not stage 1 or 2, and early in patients in their 20s and 30s and 40s in a way that we've not seen before. Now,
that's interesting, huh, Squirrel?
So I asked Dr. Collins, are you watching VAERS? At that time, I think there was something like 2,900 deaths on VAERS reported, and said, "Are you watching VAERS?" He goes, "Senator, yeah. I mean, we've already acknowledged that 6 deaths were caused by the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Clotting in women of childbearing age." Okay, well, good. That's 6. What about the other 2,900? He callously replied to me, said, "Well, Senator, people die. People die."
Now, Squirrel, remember that whole talk of the Amish? And they said, no. The Amish, they have problems, too. They have autism. You know what they don't tell you? Only among the adopted.
Can somebody comment just in terms of what we found with the Amish population?
Yes, sir. The Amish population, there was a whole group of studies called of articles that were done by an AP reporter, Dan Olmsted, and he found that the only autism that he saw in Amish subjects were those children who were adopted by Amish families who had been previously vaccinated.
Again, interesting correlation, huh?
Yeah, they got it. They adopted it in. Bob, Buffalo Grove.
Good afternoon, Shaun. Always good and fun talking to you.
You
Couple
too,
of things. This is my second time today on the station. In the morning, I kind of chided Amy and Jeannie because back
Well, you got
when
you got a little bit of an Amy thing, don't you? I know you do, sicko. Go ahead.
Yeah, Paul Sweet. Your studio, were you in there when they had the plastic screens up?
Yeah. Well, Amy had them up. They weren't there when I got there.
Okay. Second question. Were you vaccinated?
Are you out of your frickin' mind? Look at me. Look at
Okay,
me, baby.
well, then-
I said, offer me $10 million. Offer me $10 million. I'll tell you, shove it. Offer me $100 million. I ain't putting that poison in my body. But I'm stubborn.
So did you check your text message? I presented you with an award.
Oh, did you? No, I didn't get my. You got my right number? How do you have my number? But all right, go ahead. What does it say?
I texted you. I also sent it to Dan Proft because he's another one I don't think that was vaccinated.
No, are you nuts? I had the cards. I was filling them out. Dr. Shaun. I gave my, there you go. Who wants to see it? Which Democrat scumbag wants to see my card? You won't see it twice. You'll see the inside of an emergency room. I never waver, Bob. Never. Now keep your eyes to yourself. Thank you very much. Got a little bit of an Amy thing. You notice that, Squirrel? Andrew, Cherville, Indiana.
What did Barack Obama tell the pilot when he went into the cockpit of Air Force One?
She's a girl, I promise.
He said, I used to hang out at a bar called the Cockpit.
Bum. First gay president, no question about it. Dan, Salem, Wisconsin.
Hey, Shaun, since Trump drafted up that contract with Hamas to disarm them, how long do you think before the Democrats are protesting with their signs, "Arm Hamas"?
Well, it doesn't matter. You're going to sign an agreement with a bunch of cultists? Come on. What are you, nuts? You don't sign an agreement with cultists, and you don't let Irish gypsies work on your roof. These are simple rules. You're not getting a lot of the information of the success in Iran. I want you to hear a young fella, young pilot. I want you to hear something because you're not getting the proper perspective. And Trump will come on and say about how we're kicking everyone's ass, and it is epic. It reminds me how they never released the numbers from Iraq, never released the numbers from Afghanistan. How many of the Islamo-Nazis were motzed? Well, I saw it. You can see the videos. They're out there. In fact, I think I'll tweet them, Squirrel, after the show. Remind me. Here he is in a convoy strike. And it's a convoy strike in Iran. And there's this incredibly big, picture an 18-wheeler, only bigger, full of guys. Another one full of weapons. And they've got the video of it. And then there's all little ones, all full of guys. I mean, there had to be, I don't know, I would say comfortably 170 Islamo-Nazis in a convoy on their way to do nothing. And now they're burning in hell.
Pickle. One away.
See, Squirrel, they call these big bombs the pickle. The pickle is away. Let's see how the pickle does. You want a Squirrel?
Still got one bomb on our right wing, but we're going to hold on to it.
Hang on to it.
On target.
All right.
We'll go on to, let's go on to the Iskander.
Sure, let's look at
it's
it.
Down there.
All right. There they are singing Yabba Dabba Doo.
Should have 10 seconds until impact, and there's going to be a very big explosion with that missile system there. About 1 second.
All right.
Couple seconds.
Okay.
Come on, bomb. Oop, there it is. And laser off. I love dropping big bombs.
I love dropping big bombs. What about the Islamo-Nazis? Not so much. Well, your cousin's going to be disappointed. You can't marry her. Pete, Wilmington.
Shaun, what's going on, bro? Hey, it gets much worse. With the stuff you were playing earlier from the doctors about how they were banning, what Trump said, this may work. They were banning it and telling everybody, get the jab, get the jab, get the jab. I actually found this out listening to your station to a program called Arc Midnight. They had attorney Thomas Rentz on there. They were having the hospitals fill people full of remdesivir, which is known actually to kill people.
Run, death is near. Ron Johnson loves
that.
Run,
yes,
death
it
is
rhymes
near.
with run, death is near.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you know, Pete, they leverage a lot of people. I have thank you very much. I have a lot of friends, a lot of family. They're not opinionated jerks such as myself. They're not news junkies such as you. And there are a lot of good people who did something that they should have never, ever done. And what that is believe a government official. When is the last, can anyone out there just think of a policy? Which policy? Don't go with the layup. I'm going to save you $2,500 on your premium. You got to be an absolute fracking moron to believe a word that came out of that idiot's mouth. Which policy works as promoted? Can you name one? One?
Spreading quote-unquote misinformation. The Biden administration then censored all information about the successful treatments on social media platforms, pushing platforms to terminate accounts that did not fall in line with their narrative. The memo, written by Maj Joseph P. Murphy, analyzed the 2018 EcoHealth Alliance Diffuse proposal that DARPA rejected over gain-of-function concerns.
EcoHealth Alliance. You know, that's a company, Squirrel. Still out there. Hey, scumbags! What'd you do? Nothing? You had no idea? You had no idea. Is it somebody's birthday at EcoHealth Alliance?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
And there is, to this day, is not one legitimate election where Democrats are in charge of it. 312-642-5600.
He believes in freedom, capitalism, and individual liberty. And because of that, he's become an enemy of the state. He's Shaun Thompson, and this is the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
The TV tide is turning, and millions of Americans are tuning to Salem News Channel. For breaking news, common sense analysis, and the conservative voices leading the conversation, SNC delivers the stories that matter most. Watch Scott Jennings, Larry Elder, Mike Gallagher, and many others tackling the issues facing our nation. Stream free on Pluto TV, Samsung TV, the Roku channel, and more. Salem News Channel. The news you want, the perspective you trust.
Well, it's official. My friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super reliable high-speed network with unlimited data. And because they're my friends, they trust me. As for the rest of you, well, Pure Talk understands that even though you might like me, you're not just going to take my word for it, nor should you. For that reason, and for a very limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited plan that normally sells for $65 a month. Think of it like a test drive, a super simple way to save $150 while you kick the tires on Pure Talk's blazing fast network, and a fine way to see for yourself why I switched from big wireless, along with a few 100,000 of my closest friends. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and be connected to Pure Talk's friendly U.S. customer service team. Again, dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
AM 560, The Answer.
Squirrel, did you see that dog fraud company, Rivian? Stock is in the turlet. You know, it's funny. When that market collapsed, what did I say to you? I said, get our friend Tom Fortino on the line. Call him right now and tell him to buy calls, buy the market in general. You see, we've had this conversation for quite a while. And when I say we, I mean me and you. Tom Fortino is somebody that I've had the opportunity to get to know over the last few years. And when it comes to understanding the game as it's corrupted by politicians, the Biden administration, how they steered trillions of dollars into fraud companies, fraud industries. That's what they're good at. The illusion of business when it's corporatism. I'm telling you right now, if you want to avoid that, call Tom Fortino. I'm going to give him a little commercial during the segment, Squirrel. And I'll tell you why. It's that important when you understand the rebound. You know how many people listen to these idiots on TV? Jim Cramer, idiot. Fraud. CNBC, Business News, your ass. He's never made $1 in his life. His wife was the traitor. But you, the good people who work, you have to understand when not to panic, when to get involved, and how to understand the structure of your money to your risk tolerance. That's why it's one number for me and one number only. 630-864-6711. The number again, 630-864-6711. You can call that number. Talk to anybody at Alpha Wealth Group. Take advantage of the 30 years, absolutely. But also tell them what your risk tolerance is and what your goals are. They'll structure it so your kids get the money. It's very important to understand that when we talk about markets or the economy. This is what it's about. It's about you and your family pushing back against these frauds. That's key and essential. And when it comes to these pharmaceutical companies, you want to talk about a disgusting example of absolute fraud. And the common stockholders, you're not going to get the fracking money. And when you see the revenue, it's distributed to them, not to the shareholders. They don't even run the company as they steal from all of us. They don't even run the company right.
So I asked Dr. Collins, are you watching VAERS? At that time, I think there were something like 2,900 deaths on VAERS reported, and said, are you watching VAERS? He goes, Senator, yeah, I mean, we've already acknowledged that 6 deaths were caused by the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, clotting in women of childbearing age. Okay, well, good, that's 6. What about the other 29?
They don't need to play the game as if it's making money. They make money forever. It's the country that has the most amount of people on dope at all stages of their lives.
The data is clear. 1 in 6 American adults takes an antidepressant. 1 in 10 children are on prescription medication for their mental health. 30% of college students report using psychiatric medications in the past year. And in nursing homes, more than half of the residents are on prescribed antidepressants.
Why? Why does it happen that way? We are one of 2 countries that advertise medication. Advertise it, suggesting it to simpletons. How do you feel? You depressed? Got a little problem? Of course you do. In the meantime, the kickback scheme has been in place since Fauci was a young scumbag.
Another question for you. The NIH continues to refuse to voluntarily divulge the names of scientists who receive royalties and from which companies. Over the period of time from 2010 to 2016, 27,000 royalty payments were paid to 1,800 NIH employees. We know that not because you told us, but because we forced you to tell us through the Freedom of Information Act. Over $193 million was given to these 1,800 employees. Can you tell me that you have not received a royalty from any entity that you ever oversaw the distribution of money in research grants?
Well, first of all, let's talk about
Scum. Tell Tom Fortino, Squirrel. Call him up. Tell him I don't want $1 in any of the companies that bribe the NIH. Not $1. 630-864-6711. When we get back, we have a great guest. We'll be back.
Whether you are old or young, no one likes to lose money. The market is at an all-time high. How much risk does your portfolio really have in it? Are you worried that you could lose your hard-earned money? Call TJ Stearns in Arlington Heights at 800-640-2256 for your free risk report. Call right now and we will include a full analysis of your portfolio. Don't wait until it's too late. Call TJ Stearns, a local and longtime sponsor on AM 560. Call 800-640-2256. Call now and tell him AM 560 sent you.
And now it's time for the Cat's Corner.
Americans' debt problem? We are always talking about that. Well, who pays the bill? I go back to the time when the debt was $5.5 trillion. And Newt Gingrich was the speaker. And what did they do? They worked together as Americans, sat down with common sense decisions, and brought down the deficit from $5.5 trillion down to $5 trillion. Well, that is the last time the American people said $5 trillion. Since then, it has grown to $39 trillion. It has gotten out of whack. It has gotten out of control. And what is President Trump trying to do? He is trying, as a businessman, to bring it under control. He is trying to bring business back to America. He says he has commitments for $19 trillion in new manufacturing. Let's be proud and say, made in the USA. Bring jobs back to America. And that's what President Trump is doing. This is John Katsimatidis, and this is the Cat's Corner.
Streaming services, retail chains, and tech giants are all adding plus to their names. It's fairly obvious they were inspired by Hasseless Mattress. Hasseless showrooms are employee-free, plus unbeatable prices on Tempur-Pedic, plus free next-day delivery, plus 60-month interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic with approved credit, plus a $300 MasterCard gift card with your Tempur-Pedic mattress, Maybe we should change our name to Hasselist Plus. Find an employee-free showroom near you at hasselist.com.
Your home or business has storm damage and you have an insurance claim.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters. Today, insurance companies are notorious for offering way too little money to repair damage to your home or commercial building due to wind, hail, tornado, floods, or fire. Crosscom works for you, not the insurance company. As licensed adjusters, Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. After they get you the fair insurance company result, Crosscom can start doing your repairs. Crosscom is a full construction and restoration company that will get your property back to its pre-loss condition, getting your life back to normal. Roof, siding, windows, doors, fire restoration, Crosscom does it all.
Call Crosscom.
Licensed in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin.
This is Dan Leitz with Crosscom. We share your conservative and Christian values. Let us handle everything. It all starts with a call.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. Mentalist Oz Perlman was featured at the recent rescheduled dinner of the White House Correspondents Association. The choice of a mentalist for the entertainment portion of the program was apt. Performers in that category combined psychology, suggestion, observation, misdirection, and showmanship to create the illusion of mind reading. For the reporters in the room, Perlman could even be categorized as continuing education. Members of the legacy media are relying on the practices employed by Perlman to draw conclusions about President Donald Trump. Keep your eyes and ears open for reporting in print or on broadcast that relays what the president or vice president is, quote, thinking or, quote, feeling, as opposed to what they have said or done. And that's not reporting, of course, it's guessing. The appearance of a mind reader among Beltway's news business elites was just so on the nose. Did any of the assembled reporters even notice the mirror in the room?
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
My next guest is a friend of mine who I've had the pleasure of having lunch with. He's a very, very smart man. Emeritus professor of finance at Ramapo College in New Jersey. The author of Finance of Health Care, and so much more with Dr. Murray Sabrin to discuss exactly how we can get out of this pickle, and I don't mean a bomb on the side of a plane, with Dr. Murray Sabrin after Foxweiser.
They want the charges tossed. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The Justice Department moves to drop charges against a former Olympian accused of vandalizing the reflecting pool in Washington, D.C.
Federal prosecutors filed a motion to dismiss the case against David Hearn, a former Olympic canoe racer charged with vandalizing the newly renovated reflecting pool near the Lincoln Memorial. Hearn pleaded not guilty. In the court filing, the Justice Department blames the Department of the Interior for slowly trickling critical information to prosecutors, writing, had DOI been forthcoming with information in its possession, a grand jury indictment would not have been sought. The filing says evidence now strongly suggests a rushed and botched installation by a contractor led to damage to the pool's lining.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. President Trump had accused vandals of damaging the lining. Hamas claims it will disarm if Israel stops its strikes and withdraws from Gaza, but the implementation faces major challenges, and it would come later in the process, and it's contingent on the creation of a Palestinian state. Tens of thousands of migrants have voluntarily left the tiny Spanish territory after crossing into the North African city this week.
Spanish authorities now say at least 57 people were killed during those chaotic scenes in Ceuta, and that number could be going up as divers start to search the ocean. Officials estimate 60,000 people crossed into that Spanish territory without really anyone trying to stop them.
Fox's Jeff Paul. Italy has suspended its border agreement with Spain over the mass migration, and many other European countries expressing concerns that they will be impacted. The pilot of an F-35B stealth fighter expected to survive after he ejected from the jet before it crashed near the Miramar Air Base in San Diego. The Marine Corps says the service member is being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. America's listening to Fox News.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Checking traffic on this Friday, the Stevenson southbound jams up between Damon and Pulaski. Dan Ryan stop and go outbound between the Skyway and 95th. Bishop Ford stop and go 111th to 103rd. Lakeshore Drive southbound at Fullerton Parkway, there's police activity on the right-hand shoulder. Tri-State, 2 left lanes are blocked, and cleanup is underway with an ongoing accident northbound right at I-88 westbound. Veterans Memorial Toll, a disabled vehicle sits on the right shoulder southbound at Finley Road. Traffic is a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including The Shaun Thompson Show. When you go to 560theanswer.com/store.
Now, your official weather forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight will be humid with periods of rain, some heavy, and a thunderstorm, so watch out for flash flooding. The low temperature will be 68. Moving into Saturday, expect mostly cloudy skies with more rain and a chance of a thunderstorm. It'll be humid in the morning, transitioning to breezy later on. If you're heading to the music festival, having rain gear handy might be a good idea. The high temperature will reach 72 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
If you haven't switched to Pure Talk because you're not sure their coverage is every bit as reliable as Big Wireless, why not take them for a test drive? For a limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited data plan. No contracts, no commitments, just a great deal on a high-speed network with unlimited data from an American wireless company. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-260-2266, 800-260-2266, 800-260-2266.
Hey, it's Scott Tucker and my new co-host,
Amy Jacobson,
on AM 560. We wanted you to know that we have a special show every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. here on AM 560, The Answer. It is Retirement Decoded with Scott Tucker and
Amy Jacobson.
It's every Sunday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. 2-hour show, 2-hour radio extravaganza. Amy, we're going to tantalize the listening public and the listening private with all kinds of retirement planning information. So tune in at AM 560 Sunday mornings at 7 a.m.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
I remember all of those excuses during American Dark Ages. I remember as one president, one in a 4-year span, did something that took this country 236 years to do, add $9 trillion to the national debt.
Obviously. So to be really clear, obviously, the president does not control the price of gasoline. No president does. But what we're seeing right now is this global mismatch between supply and demand. Oil production is lagging behind as the rest of the economy roars back to life after the shutdown.
And as Jennifer Granholm was getting out of her stock portfolio at the highs, Jared Bernstein was trying to figure out if the government buys bonds. My next guest knows exactly what they do. You see, he's an emeritus professor of finance at Ramapo College in New Jersey, author of Finance of Healthcare, among with some other fantastic articles. Dr. Murray Sabrin, how are you?
Great to be with you, Shaun.
You too. This is really something as we watched things recalibrate and change. And I'm curious to know how you view this new boom belt where 11 states are making up over 70% of the GDP, the massive growth taking place in all of the states where growth and money is welcome to be invested. It's really that whole Atlas shrugging as the once great areas like our former are now places you flee, and other areas that people used to make fun of are places you put stakes in the ground. Do you notice that?
Well, there's no question about it. I mean, businesses are going to move where they're welcome, where their taxes are relatively low, the regulations are relatively minimal, and they have a workforce that they can rely on in order to provide the goods and services that is their mission. And when you have that recipe, if you will, you're going to have a strong economy. And unfortunately, we don't have a strong economy because of all the money printing and all the government spending. And I take the perspective, Shaun, that I've seen this unfold under Republicans and Democrats, and no one has the high ground here when it comes to fiscal irresponsibility, I'm afraid to say.
No, and this is something that I try to convey. It could be myself that's the president tomorrow. You could be my Secretary of the Treasury. And when you have 90%, 95% of policies that give automatic increases into spending, you in fact have signed on to a bankruptcy, to a doom loop of fraud. And most people don't realize this. All of these spending policies and what's called entitlements, they're automatically growing because it's legislated that they do so. And that's shame on the American citizen for allowing this to happen, don't you think?
Well, this is why the culture of America has changed so dramatically. When I was a youngster growing up in New York City in the 1950s and early 60s, before we had Medicare, Medicaid, and the Great Society programs, and these programs lifted the government's footprint on the U.S. economy and on people's lives, because now people look to Washington to solve their problems. And before the first Great Depression, people looked to their families, their communities, their trade associations, their self-help groups, and that was the essence of America. People solving problems at the local level, producing at the local level, and the federal government was supposed to just keep the country safe from any potential invader, keep the country safe from people coming in who are not coming in through the front door like we came in after World War II. And so you have the confluence of a perfect storm, Shaun, of people not being financially independent. And that's why I created the MAFI movement, MAFIUSA.com, Make Americans Financially Independent, which is, I think, the unfinished revolution of 1776. We need to take back the government. We need to take back the responsibility of our own lives and work with our own people through the nonprofit sector, whether it's healthcare, food banks, Habitat for Humanity, other great nonprofits that have been around for decades, that many of them don't rely on any taxpayer dollars. And those are the ones that are strong. The ones that rely on taxpayer dollars are not doing well because they become basically an arm of the government. And there's so many nonprofits that have a mission that is to help people get back on their own 2 feet or help them in their time of need. And that is the essence of Americana, as far as I'm concerned, and my understanding of what this country is all about, and have the private sector provide us with all the things that we want that improve our lives.
Exactly. And one of the things, too, to realize, it's not that it's not working, right? Because if you look at the entitlements, you look at the system as it exists, people go, it's not working. And then nothing happens. And what does sometimes happen is it gets even worse, because then for some reason, government is the only entity on the planet that the more it fails, the more it loses, the more it misappropriates. For some reason, the people demand the more money it gets. So the reality is it's working as it was designed, that the systems that are in place, whether you talk about Medicare or Medicaid or Social Security, whether you talk about the Department of Education, they're working as designed from the eyes of the government that wants to backdoor nationalize your life. They created these policies to fail because they knew the more they failed, the more the people would say, give it more money, or they would be impotent in being able to put a resistance back. But What should be the definition? This is what I love, because I know what it is in the private sector. The definition of failure is when you can't pay the bill.
Absolutely.
You now have one group. I can't use this example enough. One very small, infinitesimal group of people are directly responsible for the theft of $12 billion in Medicare and Medicaid fraud. During one group of people. I mean, it's never been more obvious. So if we can't put a plug in this and say this is what failure, corruption is intended to do, you enrich the very small, the very politically connected. If we can't stop it now, we can never really stop it, can we?
No, and this is why I'm looking at the USDebtClock.org website, and the national debt is closing in on $40 trillion, Shaun. Do you know what a mind-boggling number that is? And when, when you look at the interest on the national debt, that interest is over $1 trillion a year. So we have the perfect financial storm unfolding right before our eyes, and Washington, on both sides of the aisle, are burying their heads in the sand and saying, we'll wait till the crisis hits. Well, when the crisis hits, it's going to be very painful for a lot of people who depended upon government checks, taxpayer dollars, in order to survive, whether it's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, or all the list of the entitlements that we have in this country.
Well, there also has to be a recognition that a lot of the people who fall under the Trojan horse of charity and poverty, these people, for the most part, are pulling a Somalia shuffle on us. They're swindling us, like in my old neighborhood, Chicago. I have always believed 60% of food stamps are being frauded and used for cash buyouts. You know, there's a reason they have all those ghetto stores with a tomato can on a shelf. They're paying 30 cents on the dollar to the degenerate who would rather have the money. Now in New York, I don't know if you saw O'Keefe Media Group, who I think he's absolutely fantastic. He did an expose on how SNAP benefits in New York are being used to buy this dope called Kraton or Katon. I don't know what kind of drug it is. It falls under food, and they're using SNAP to buy the dope. So the problem is we keep pretending by giving money to people who are scoundrels and people who have devious natures is going to solve things. It's not. And to me, the way to fix it is I would have new currency. To me, you have to flush out the bad currency. You want to stop that $40 trillion, you have to revamp and tie the currency, the future American dollar, to the land and the natural resources that are in the 94% of the country that is not developed, and really make all of the money that's being stolen and on autopilot, make it useless, make it paper like the Confederate money. And then you recalibrate the debt, you recalibrate the fraud, because you can't get your way out of it any other way. I don't know how you can do it. And what I'm really fearful of is what the Trump administration is doing, of which I'm a supporter 99% of the time. But this 1% of the time, where the government somehow partners and takes an equity stake in businesses, well, they already have an equity stake in every citizen. You take 30% of what everybody makes.
Right.
What more of an equity stake you're going to take? And if you do that, you really destroy capitalism because you prevent all competition. You can't compete with the government.
Yeah, the sad reality, Shaun, is that Mamdani in New York, the mayor of New York, wants to have more socialism by have the city own grocery stores. He wants free this, free that, which of course is not free. Someone has got to pay for it. And Trump and the Trump administration is taking equity stakes in companies, as you pointed out. This is socialism light. And you know who predicted this in 1951? The great Austrian economist Ludwig von Mises, who barely escaped Austria when the Nazis came in 1940. He went to Austria, came to the United States, and he gave a talk in 1951, which was published as an essay, The Middle of the Road Leads to Socialism. What we're seeing today is what he predicted in 1951. Once you have a welfare state, the push is to have a greater welfare state and a greater welfare state and a greater welfare state until you have a socialist state. And that was Mises' point in 1951, and we're seeing it unfold right before our eyes, both at the local level and at the federal level.
Rothbard and Ayn Rand, so many knew what we would do. And you know, it all stems from the notion that you can agree to be wrong in the worst word in America politics, compromise. There's no such thing as a compromise. There is only agreeing to be wrong. And this whole middle of the road idea and all of it. And yet, time after time, election cycle after election cycle, the call for civility. Well, I wonder if they understand there is no civil way to fraud somebody. There's just an agreement to fraud somebody. And we know this. We've had this knowledge for 100 years. Why is it so few people who run for office articulate the fact you can never agree to be wrong without being wrong the whole time?
Well, this is even in my profession, the academic world, people don't want to admit they're wrong when they do a paper or a book, and people point out the fallacy of what they're saying, or that they're using data that is manipulated either intentionally or unintentionally. And it's hard to say I'm wrong. This is one of the problems with politicians. They never say they're wrong. They never apologize for their mistakes. And we saw this at the hearings the other day with Dr. Fauci. He couldn't answer a question, taking the fifth all the time, about what he did during COVID. He was the guy in charge of this thing. He's trying to pass it on to Trump, but he was the one that told us about the mask, about the 6 feet, that ivermectin was nonsense. When I just read today, 200 members of Congress took ivermectin during COVID. So if it's good for members of Congress, why wasn't it available to the American people, which would have saved countless lives? Because I know a physician personally in New Jersey who I've known for decades. She used ivermectin in her practice to deal with COVID with her patients, and she saved hundreds and hundreds of lives because of that. So Fauci has blood on his hand. The FDA has blood on his hand. The CDC has blood on his hand. Anyone who was involved during healthcare during that period and didn't allow the people to get ivermectin, which has been proven to be a good protocol for these illnesses, and same thing with hydroxychloroquine. So shame on them, because they're not doing what the Hippocratic Oath is: do no harm.
But you know as well as I do, they're more interested in specifically older people dying than anything else, because all of the socialism that passed when you were a very young man, all of that socialism is a fraud and a lie in the first place. So there is no such thing as a Social Security trust fund. It doesn't exist. It's a fraud. There is no thing as Medicare or Medicaid. It's just a money shivel. So the government as it sits, when you really look at it, they don't have a vested interest in people being healthy. They don't have a vested interest in people living long enough to collect the promises they made. So why would they help you live long? And if you look at the pharmaceutical industry in the first place, there's no money in these drugs that you had referenced. Right. There's no money in any of this stuff. There's big money in infecting people and making them sicker. It's a fascinating reality because, you think we're talking about the medical industry. You think we're talking about the healthcare industry. You think we're talking about the senior care or Medicare. What we're really talking about is money. It's always about the money. And if you can't understand that the money is intended to be stolen in these policies for 100 years that have failed, and you think somehow they're going to deliver it if we keep funding it, you're as dumb as a Chicago public school taxpayer, aren't you?
This is why I've been beating the drum against big government for all my adult life, in articles, books, letters to the editor, talk shows like yours, and now my Substack and my Mafia USA website. We have a lot of work to do to get the country back to the vision of what we just celebrated, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. I think the founders, if somehow a miracle they could come back, they would be appalled as to what's happened to America. They probably would think that we were taken over by some monstrosity of a government, whether it's a monarchy or a totalitarian regime, because we have more grievances today than we had back in 1776.
Oh, yeah.
And I outlined that in my Declaration of Independence. That's on my Substack at murraysabrin.substack.com from June 4th. And I said, this is what we should be thinking about today in order to get the country back on the road to freedom and prosperity.
You know what they understood that nobody talks about except for a couple of great radio shows on AM 560? You know what they understood? There is no government. There is no such thing as a government. There are only people. And the reality is when you cede power to other people, they pretend to be a form of technocrats. They pretend to be a form of experts or altruistic, which is a very dangerous philosophy. And they celebrate the ignorance and the arrogance of the very failure that is bankrupting this society. That's what we're living through. And, I love when we go through the Declaration of Independence. I go, if you replace he with they, you have 10 times the more grievances than we had when we fought the first revolution. But you know what the difference I see is? The people who put that together, although not formally educated, you could go from Ben Franklin, the 80% of the founders, left school when they were 10, 11, 14, but they never stopped reading. They never stopped thinking Thinking. All you have to do is think. I ask this sometimes when we talk to these professional swindlers called politicians. Point to me a policy that works. One. Is there one? You can't point to one. And the beauty of what they did is what's under attack now by the swindlers, who are all lawyers, by the way. Notice how they all want to attack the only thing that is saving this country, the Electoral College. They always want to attack the Electoral College. You know, it's a fascinating reality when you look at the voting outcomes for presidential elections and you look at the country in general. 90% of this country has never voted for a socialist in the form of an American Democrat for president. 90%. That is unbelievable, which means we, me and you, and the people listening to this show, the responsible, who want law, who want reality of capitalism, we are by far the majority. And look at what this 10% of cancer has done to our economy, to our so-called entitlements. So at a certain point, you have to produce better candidates that can articulate the problem rather than making the same ridiculous promises. And you lived through the Gus Hall years, the communist who ran 8 times for president. Listen to Gus Hall in 1976 and listen to a Democrat today, and 40% of the Republicans. They don't even know what the hell they're promising, do they?
Well, here is another sad reality. If you look at the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto, at least 4 of them have already been implemented over the past 100 years by the federal government, including the income tax and the Federal Reserve. That's part of the Communist Manifesto, having a progressive income tax and have centralization of credit. We don't have the full centralization of credit. That would come if we got a digital currency where the government would have access to all your private financial records, which they basically do now through the IRS. But the point is, we are headed toward a massive surveillance state with digital currency, with cameras all over the place, and this is why civil liberties is one of the important foundations of America. And if people don't stand up for their civil rights, their property rights, they're going to disappear in the next decade.
I feel there's one way and one way only to correct this, and that is a new currency. If you look at what happened to the Weimar Republic, and you look at what happened to some other nations that have bought this fraud of just pretending everything's okay when it's not by printing money, Central America, South America, Chile, whatever you want to look at. The only thing that can solve it is a currency that is anchored to value. And I think we have the intelligence, especially, I'm very impressed with Scott Bessent. I really am. I think he understands. I think the upper echelon understands. You have to have a currency that is anchored to something that can't be frauded easily, can't be duplicated by promises. You have to have a currency that is anchored to an asset. Now, you could do what the Weimar Republic did in the rebuilding of their currency before Adolf Hitler went bonkers, and you could issue a currency anchored to the benefits in the land. What we have is incredible wealth in this country. We're only 6% developed. If you came out with a dollar that was attached to the minerals and the benefits of oil and natural gas and all of the things in this country that we could produce, a true American dollar versus a fiat currency. You could throw in a little gold, you could throw in a little silver, you could throw in a basket that fluctuates and offsets the very inflation that we can't seem to tame. Why is it they don't talk about that? You don't have to be gold and make gold $500,000 an ounce. You could do a combination of all things. The rules are you're only hamstrung by your own imagination. Why don't they want to stabilize the currency? Because it would limit them and their ability to print?
Well, they could stabilize the currency now. All the Federal Reserve has to do is not create any more dollars, and then you stabilize the currency. And that's one way of doing it. If you have a fiat money world, which we do, we've had it since 1971. The Federal Reserve could just say we are not going to increase the money supply whatsoever. That we're going to have a stable dollar, and the dollar will be reflecting the value that people place on it by their buying and selling of goods and services in the marketplace. That's how it would work under the current system. We don't have to try to resurrect a commodity basket. That's one way you could do it, but it would be kind of tough to do it these days, because then people will say, well, I want this in the basket, I want that in the basket. We already have a single currency. Now, to make it even more a hard currency, you can back it the dollar with gold like it was from 1792 to 1971. And we had virtually no inflation from 1792 to 1913 when the Federal Reserve was created. Since 1913 when the Federal Reserve was created, the dollar has lost 95% of its value because it kept on printing money and each dollar was not backed by gold. So the evidence is quite clear, Shaun, from American history, that once you give a centralized institution, whether you call it a central bank or the Treasury, the ability to print money, they're going to print money because that is the goal that they have, is to print money to benefit their cronies. And that's the way crony capitalism works instead of free enterprise.
Well, it's also fascinating that the lack of conversation about it. There has to be a conversation about it other than, we're just going to continue to do the same thing. Because here's the other thing. I know you don't talk markets. I know you don't get specific with markets. But here's why I am bullish forever on the market. And I mean forever. And you're talking to a guy who traded commodities. And believe me, I wasn't always a buyer. But the reality is, what people don't understand, the market in total is a currency itself. And the more they weaken our currency, the stronger that currency. Now, there can be sectors that aren't as valuable as the offset of the dollar is through the destruction of inflation. However, what that market, what the beauty of what the system we have another market comprised of different currencies, whether they call them stocks or not. You and I know they're currencies of the companies. And those currencies, unless something tragic goes on with absolute fraud and chaos, will offset the devaluing of the dollar the government continues to print up. So when I hear these guys talk about market corrections and collapses, they're talking very, very short term. In the grand term of years down the road, the market will be stronger than the dollar, and that is why I think what Trump did with giving these kids $1,000 from the time they're born will destroy the lie and the fraud called Social Security. Do you?
Well, here's the problem, Shaun. The federal government is running a $2 trillion deficit, and for the federal government to spend hundreds of millions of dollars, which they have to borrow, by the way, in order to fund these accounts, this should be done by the private sector. This should be done by families.
Well, they are. It's Dell's money.
I understand that, but initially it's $1,000 from the Treasury for each of these accounts, and that money is borrowed. So you're just adding more.
But you know what? Did you read, though, that everybody can throw in up to $5,000 a year in their tax deduction?
Yes, that's wonderful. In fact, I showed my students when I was teaching corporate finance back in the 80s and 90s and 2000s how every child born in America over 65 years could have a multi-million-dollar retirement account if they just kept it there and that money was compounded roughly 9%. At the historical rate of the stock market for 65 years, and you put away 1,000, 2,000, and as you're working, you put away 5,000 or 6,000. I think I showed them that it's possible to have like $10 million in that account over 65 years.
So for today, on my show, I am going to say Trump stole the idea from Dr. Murray Sabrin, who wrote it down 40 years ago, and you've been writing about it ever since. Where does everybody go to keep an eye on everything Dr. Murray Sabrin? MurraySabrin.substack.com. That's where I post content of my podcast, Health, Wealth, and the Pursuit of Happiness on YouTube, and also at MossieUSA.com, when you can learn about what we're trying to do to make people financially independent. And my guests talk about how they can become financially independent, how they can improve their health. I had a great guest yesterday. It's going to be on YouTube this evening, talking about longevity, about how people can increase their lifespan with doing a few things in their life that will increase their lifespan, make them healthier, and not have all these terrible things happen to them in their senior years, all the chronic illnesses that are now affecting 4 out of 10 Americans have a chronic illness. 6 out of 10 have 2 or more chronic illnesses. That is shameful in a country where we're spending $5 trillion on medical care. Thank you, Dr. Murray Sabrin. I so appreciate you. Lunch on me next time we get together. Deal?
Absolutely. Take care, Shaun. Great to be with you.
You too. You too. We'll be back with your calls and comments.
Make money, smoke cigars, and live free on the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
Since 2007, Folds of Honor has awarded nearly 73,000 educational scholarships, over $340 million to the children and spouses of America's fallen and disabled military heroes and first responders. This year alone, 7,700 qualified applicants didn't receive funding, not because they didn't deserve it, because resources ran out. You can change that. On Saturday, September 12th, you're invited to an exclusive VIP concert experience at a private estate in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, featuring Gary LaVox of Rascal Flatts and the Swan Brothers, benefiting Folds of Honor. This is an intimate evening with incredible live music and an even more incredible cause. Tickets are limited, and if you own a business, this is your chance to put your brand behind something that truly matters. Honor their sacrifice, educate their legacy, make lifetime memories. For tickets or business sponsorship opportunities, visit foldsconcert.com. That's foldsconcert.com. Saturday, September 12th. Don't miss it. foldsconcert.com.
We work a lifetime to build a legacy for our families, but the most enduring gift you can give them is the peace of mind you provide when they need it most. When you pre-plan your arrangements at Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, you replace the weight of uncertainty with the gift of clarity. Secure today's costs and protect your family from making emotional and financial decisions at the time of need. It's a final act of love they'll never forget. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5400.
Hey y'all, I'm Willie Robertson.
And I'm Corey Robertson.
We partnered with Echo. It's a new platform, not just streaming.
Movies and series that are safe for your family.
Echo!
I love a podcast.
Plus Echo Daily Devotionals.
Echo. Hey Willie, what is Echo?
Echo is my pet squirrel. Okay, Doc. Echo is not just faith-friendly, it is faith-driven.
Be a part of something better.
Echo.
Echo.
That's where I want to be.
That's EKKL.com.
Subscribe now.
This is attorney Robert Nauman of Nauman & Associates. Thank you, 560 listeners, for your continual phone calls to request our service in your estate planning matters. To share an example, a couple met with our team about an adult child that will need assistance after they both pass away. We created a trust with provisions that will protect that adult child and the rest of the family for years after they're gone. Give us a call when you're facing special circumstances with adult children. We'd love to help you protect your estate and your family. NALawGroup.com or 847-593-8777.
A lead data scientist is wanted in Chicago, Illinois, must have a bachelor's degree in mathematics, computer science, or a related field, and 2 years of experience as a lead data scientist, data analyst, or related field. Salary $74,277 per year for a 40-hour work week. Send resume to Wazeli U.S. Incorporated, attention Stanislaus De Vittorio, via regular mail to 3033 North Clark Street, Chicago, Illinois 60657.
Some places just become part of the community. Shannon's Deli is one of those places. For over 25 years, this woman-owned downtown Lombard favorite has been serving fresh, made-to-order sandwiches, homemade soups, signature salads, and some of the friendliest service you'll find anywhere. It's the kind of place where customers become regulars, and regulars become friends. Whether you're grabbing lunch, meeting coworkers, or picking up catering for the office, you'll taste the difference that comes from quality ingredients and genuine hospitality. Shannon's Deli is just 35 feet from the Metro train station. Then, when the sun goes down, head over to Shannon's Irish Pub in Glen Ellen for great food, your favorite drink, live entertainment, and the warm Irish hospitality you've come to expect from the Shannon's family. Shannon's Irish Pub is just 2 blocks from the Metro station. Visit shannonsdeli.net and shannonsirishpub.info.
Veterans and active duty service members, when your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
Good evening, Shaun. In the QC Kinetics newsroom, Spain is sending in military reinforcements to respond to a surge of migrants crossing into its territory. Hundreds crossed the border of Morocco into Ceuta yesterday.
Socialist Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, who has led a pro-immigration administration, has called the onslaught of immigrants in Ceuta a violation of territorial sovereignty. Spain is now working with Moroccan officials to beef up Ceuta's border and repatriate those who have entered. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
2 people were found dead from apparent gunshot wounds inside of a south suburban home Thursday. Harvey police reported to a possible medical issue near 150th and Vine in Harvey. And Police Chief Dale Mitchell is not releasing any new information.
We don't want to give any aid to the people or the person or persons who might have committed this senseless act.
The news is a service of Staples. It's officially the most wonderful time of the year at Staples. They've got back-to-school supplies as low as 25 cents, up to 40% off select tech, 20% off for teachers, and more. Check out all the deals at staples.com/back-to-school. Your next news update is at 7. Continuous news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. And up next, a check of the evening roads in the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Checking traffic this evening in Wooddale, an accident, Prospect and Irving Park Road. Lake Forest, report of an accident, Town Line and the Tri-State. 8094 stop-and-go traffic this evening eastbound between the Bishop Ford and Indianapolis Boulevard. Tri-State, report of an accident on 294. 2 left lanes are blocked right at I-88. Your stop-and-go from Plainfield. Dan Ryan, report of an accident in the express lanes inbound at 51st. Traffic is a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device. Download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Now, your official weather forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Tonight will be humid with periods of rain, some heavy, and a thunderstorm, so be cautious of flash flooding. The low will be 68. Moving into Saturday, expect mostly cloudy skies with more rain and a chance of a thunderstorm. The morning will be humid, but it will become breezy later on. If you're heading to the music festival, having rain gear handy is a good idea. The high will reach 72 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at progressive.com.
Hey, it's Shaun Thompson. You know, one day it's market volatility. The next day it's conflict overseas. Price jumps, confidence drops, and suddenly retirement feels less certain. When the latest headline pushes costs higher and stokes inflation fears, it can have a ripple effect on your investments and your budget. But here's the thing. Retirement shouldn't depend on perfect timing or on the latest geopolitical noise. Tom Fortino and the Alpha Wealth Group help families right here in the Chicago area build a plan to create income you can't outlive, control taxes, minimize risk, protect your assets, and prepare an estate and legacy plan. It's their 5-pillar retirement planning. Ready to learn more? To get your complimentary retirement roadmap and a retirement analysis today, schedule a meeting with Tom Fortino and the people of Alpha Wealth Group by calling 630-864-6711. That number again, 630-864-6711, or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
Maybe you've thought about taking a cruise. Maybe you've even talked yourself out of it. But this is not just another vacation. This is the Gulf of America cruise. 7 days through the Caribbean with Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, Jennifer Horn, and a ship full of people who love this country. No packing and unpacking, no complicated planning, just great destinations, meaningful conversations, and a once-in-a-generation celebration of America's 250th. This November, be there. Text CRUISE to 94878 to book your cabin today.
Have you ever wondered, with all the different religions and interpretations of the Bible, how you can be sure that you're on the right path in your spiritual journey? The powerful new book, You and God by Peter Philippi, helps you answer this question and discover how to establish a truly personal relationship with God through biblical understanding and faith. Get your copy of You and God by Peter Philippi today by visiting pbmusa.org. That's pbmusa.org.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This hour of The Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. Old phonographs or music boxes? We are the experts. Consign yours. DonleyAuctions.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
The communist vote is a vote for life. A vote for the communist ticket. It is a vote to end racism, to all forms of discrimination. It is a vote for jobs, a vote for decent income, a home for everyone, for full equality of women, especially on the job. Ooh. It is a vote for free child care centers and for working mothers a 6 months maternity leave with full pay. It is a vote for free quality medical care, hospital care for all who need it. It is a vote for free college education for all regardless of income. We have the materials, we have the manpower to build a decent home for every family. We can build enough schools and hospitals. If we can have modern mass transit systems. We can eliminate poverty and want. We can do all this. We can provide these services only if we eliminate corporate profits as the kingpin on the list of priorities.
Same exact platform of the modern-day Democrats. Only back then, Squirrel, the other benefit, there were no transvestites out in public. Mark, Oak Lawn.
Shaun, 2 points to make. First one is, you think about Fauci, they're always talking about no kings with Trump. Fauci thought he was a king along with Biden. And, he was wrong on everything. And I'm just going to list the mask, the herd immunity, the ivermectin, the origin of the disease. It was gain of function funded by Fauci. Vaccines, the mandate from Biden. The job losses that people had to go through.
But wait a minute. I'm going to help you. There are millions of people, they call themselves Democrats, who want to be slaves, who want to stay home, who do not want to work. That was their utopia. Those years was the answer to the prayers of the useless. That's why they couldn't believe. They knew, by the way, if you can read, you knew it was a fraud. They wanted to believe it because they're useless. I'm going to tell you what. Do you ever watch We Got Nothing News, the Carol Burnett show for the morning show? Do you ever watch it? With WGN?
Go ahead.
WGN. You don't watch WGN?
Oh yeah, I've watched.
Right?
Yeah,
they got that suck-on moron pansy who every time he does something he hurts himself. What's his name? Podash. And then they have the girl who looks like she was married to Archie Bunker. They got her Robin.
You know what
right.
they do, Shaun? They laugh at their own. They're constantly laughing. It's like
sometimes
a laugh track.
In their defense,
it's so ridiculous. They don't even know what they're laughing about.
Well, in their defense, there are some good moments. Some of it's funny. I think the sports guy's kind of funny, even though he wears merengue shirts.
Yeah.
However, they had a doctor on during COVID who was and is a quack, an absolute useless asshat. Now, this is supposed to be a doctor. His name's Robert Murphy. I'm going to play you something. Now think about what is happening with all of the evidence that we now have that we knew and we talked about from the beginning about Fauci financing the Wuhan lab, financing gain of function, using EcoHealth, all of what we have, everything. And here we are, fast forward to what we lived through. The vaccine injured, the lie, all of it. This is supposedly a doctor yesterday on We Got Nothing News.
Senator Paul announced that the committee would vote next week on whether to hold Dr. Fauci in contempt of Congress. So joining us now is Dr. Robert Murphy, a professor of infectious diseases at Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine. Dr. Murphy, good to talk to you again.
Sounds good, huh?
Good morning. I know you're not an attorney, so I'll skip that part of this story. But let me ask you about the Wall Street Journal's conservative editorial page said that Dr. Fauci doesn't belong in jail, but they do criticize him for what they call stifling dissenting views and hiding the record, citing emails were deleted. And and sort of diminishing the two experts in his meeting that said that this started in a lab. What's your argument against that view?
Well, you have to look at the timeline. If you remember, the three of us were 6 years ago at the beginning of this pandemic together. And those comments come from January and March of 2020, before any shutdowns had occurred, before any vaccine was developed. Nobody knew really what was going on. One of the options was that it did come from the lab. That was discussed openly with everybody. However, since that time, with two international investigations, they come to the conclusion that it is most likely not coming from the lab, and that it is coming from animals to man and then was spread.
This is 6 years later. He's a professor. So Northwestern, you suck too. Every kid in the class who listens to him and doesn't say you're a quack, you're a coward. This is the cowardice. This is
Shaun,
the arrogance and the ignorance they celebrate. Here he is. He knows he's wrong. He's going to say it anyway. He can't help himself. That's why doctor, professor, lawyer, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, if you are a Democrat, you're good for nothing. Dr. Robert Murphy, good for nothing. Go ahead.
Shaun, I could have taken Groucho Marx, Dr. Quackenbush, out of Horse Feathers. Yeah. He could have done a better job. And, I could go to a phone book and just go right down the line under A and just go, bam, this person. And he could have got at least half of them right.
Do you want to know something? This is a great example. There are no doctors. There are only people that pretend to be. That's it. This is a pretend professor, a pretend doctor. And every day on We Got Nothing News, a widely watched news show, he sold bull dung. And he knew it. And he knows it today, and he won't admit it.
In that market. This has gone over and over again. Fauci has testified in Congress 200 times total about this thing. So nothing was really hidden. It was discussed. It was a possibility, but this is not really how it happened.
Cannot tell the truth. A Democrat cannot tell the truth. 312-642-5600.
This is the Shaun Thompson Show, where Democrats are always wrong, Republicans are seldom right, and politicians are never, ever to be trusted. On AM 560, The Answer.
Looking for a place that feels like home the moment you walk through the door? Then make your way to Shannon's Deli in the heart of downtown Lombard. For more than 25 years, this woman-owned local favorite has been serving up incredible made-to-order sandwiches, homemade soups, crisp salads, and delicious catering that's earned a loyal following throughout DuPage County. Every meal is made with care because at Shannon's, you're not just another customer, you're family. And when the weather's beautiful, grab your lunch or dinner and head upstairs to their rooftop patio. It's the perfect place to relax with friends, enjoy great food, and experience one of downtown Lombard's hidden gems. And Shannon's Deli is just 35 feet from the Metro train station. Plus, when you're ready for dinner, live entertainment, or a classic Irish pub experience, visit their sister restaurant, Shannon's Irish Pub in Glen Ellen, just 2 blocks from the Metro station. Visit shannonsdeli.net and shannonsirishpub.info. That's shannonsdeli.net and shannonsirishpub.info.
Are you slumpy?
Slumpy?
It's a made-up word to describe someone who's grumpy from a bad night of sleep.
Clever.
But Penny Mustard has discovered the cure for severe slumpiness.
Let me guess. A nightly dose of a double-sided hybrid mattress.
Made in Wisconsin.
And built to last 45% longer than the average unflippable model.
Ask your doctor about Penny Mustard. Hopefully they bought their mattress here too, because who wants a slumpy doctor?
Find a showroom near you at pennymustard.com.
You know that feeling when you call your insurance company and you know that you're getting put into queue? Nobody wants to go through that, specifically Tommy and TJ Iaquinta with Class A Insurance. They're a father and son team built right here in Chicago's southwest suburbs on one idea: treat people like family. See, because they're independent, they're not stuck in pushing one company policy on you, one company rates on you. They shop the best carriers in the country, names you'd recognize, and find coverage that actually fits your life, your home, your car, even your boat and motorcycle. That's why they've been named one of the top 25 home insurance agencies in Chicago. 2 generations, 1 agency. And clients that stick with them for years. When something happens and claims happen, Tommy or TJ is the one who picks up the phone and walks you through the process themselves. If you're paying for a policy you don't understand from a company you never talked to, it's simple. Head to 560insurance.com. That's 560insurance.com. Get a free quote in minutes at 560insurance.com.
Fight or flight? In Illinois, you've got both options. You can stay and fight, engage in local races, work to change things. Or you can vote with your feet. At leavingil.com, we help you build a smart exit plan so you know where to go, when to go, and how to do it right. Take our quick exit readiness assessment. Go to leavingil.com. That's leavingil.com. Or call 224-800-6979.
AM 560. The Answer.
Колбас колбасит соло, колбасер по пояс голый.
Oh, I love Greg's question. We're going to get to it. We're run out of time. Greg and LaGrange.
Yeah, if it's so good, it's described by Gus Hall, and college is free and everything is free, why do anything? Why not just exist? Because you don't have to apply yourself to do anything because it's all there.
So you're asking what is the point?
Yeah, the problem is you have the collective of a state of a bunch of elites that basically use individuals to corrupt the system like we're seeing come to bear now in a lot of cities. And then eventually these people become nothing to them. They become controlled by them.
Why do they hate capitalism? Why do they hate capitalism? Because it puts these fraud, pretend pseudo-intellectuals who call themselves intellectuals in their place. They're worth nothing. In communism, there is no achievement. There is no individual. There is no beauty of the individual and what he's capable of. There is only the party. These are comrades. This is a cancer of conscience. This is a cancer of character. This is for the weak-minded who want to live every day the way they forced me and you to live during the fraud pandemic called COVID. That was their utopia right there. Good for nothing, never get out of your pajamas and get to tell your kids you're good for something. That's why they hate America, the youngest and the richest country with the highest quality of life. You know why, Greg? It's not built on the power of the government. It's built on you. And that's what we have to get back to. I'm running out of time. Go.
Yeah. One last thing is they don't believe in law. So they don't believe in the Constitution. If they want to tear down the Constitution, they'll just do it.
Well, not so easy. You don't declare war on me any more than you come into a tavern and insult me. You'll get your ass kicked. Have a good weekend. We win in the end. Hit it, Squirrel.
Hold on, Andrew. We did not receive any apologies from the ruling class that lied to us repeatedly during COVID. The lockdowns, the efficacy of the vaccine, the mask mandates, school closures, and we just act as if it didn't happen. And I don't think the American ruling class understands the undermining of their credibility that happened when the entire country had their lives thwarted, especially young people. We're just supposed to reopen the country and be like, well, why don't you trust us anymore?
Hey, did you ever track down that missing warehouse key?
I forgot all about it.
You forgot? You said that guy was furious when you had to let him go.